Welcome to my so-called Gen X life. This is my so-called Gen X book club, or my so-called book club. Gen X isn't even in there. I'm Natalie. This is my channel. Joining me, as always, is my member, my subscriber, my mod, Grindleson. How's it going?
What?
What?
Welcome to Tuesday. Welcome to book club.
Yay! Book club
I'm in
night.
my Superman Through the Ages shirt because Supergirl comes out next weekend. I got my tickets for next Saturday.
Wow.
Very
That's
excited.
Exciting. Cool. I haven't been to a movie in...
I know you're not a movie person.
No, I'm a huge movie person. I just haven't been to the movies. Well, we don't have a movie theater anymore.
Right.
So that makes it really hard. Oh, cool. Are you like Seinfeld, where you put a Superman something in every scene, that every shot that we...
I would. That's so awesome. I loved that he did that, and I always was looking for it. Mm-hmm. My buddy actually had that statue that he had on his table.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's
my buddy
awesome.
Mark McKeever. Hey, shout out Mark McKeever if you ever watch this.
Nice.
That statue, I remember.
That's hilarious. And that Superman was a very... and Seinfeld's Boomer, but that was a very boomer thing. It's a very boomer thing.
You know what? Superman is also a Gen X thing because we had the greatest Superman ever.
Absolutely.
You know, Christopher Reeve.
Yeah,
100%. Superman the movie.
Yeah.
Nothing better. I love
it. It was a great generational handoff from
it was
the Superman of the comics and the TV show, and then the handoff to us with the movies.
Exactly, because Superman wasn't wasn't even boomers to begin with.
No,
it belonged to the Silence and the GIs because it came out in 1938. It's one of those beautiful things that has transcended the generations, and
there's not a lot that does that.
Batman even more, because Batman's had so many different incarnations over the years, and each generation gets to claim a Batman. The boomers' Batman was Adam West and the goofy shit. Our Batman is
Michael Keaton
and Dark Knight from the comics, if you're a comic fan.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas millennials and Gen Z, they get Christian Bale and Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. I almost claim Christian Bale for us, at least for Zennials, because he's a Gen Xer, but yeah. Awesome. Well, tonight we are getting into chapter 7 of The Fourth Turning by William Strauss and Neil Howe. This chapter 7 covers the second turning, which in this book, the most recent second turning, and it still is the consciousness revolution from 1964 to 1984. It was also the turning where Gen X arrived on the scene. So we're going to be looking at this. Like last week, we were looking at the future and what we think the first turning might be like. This week, we're going to go with a more historical perspective and talk about what the second turning was like, because Gen Xers will not live through a second turning unless we get into our 80s and 90s and all of that. So
you speak for yourself. I intend to see the tricentennial.
Wow, that would make that. I would be 98.
I would be 105. So
105. Hey, you never know.
My great grandmother lived to be 102, so it's there's possibility. Yeah.
Well, we might see second. There's many of us that will hopefully see a second turning, but it will be at the end of our lives.
Right.
So
we're going to make it to the first. Let's make it to the first. Okay?
Let's make it to the first and just go from there.
3 years in this, I heard.
So we're going to be going through the second turning of 6484. We're going to open up the chapter, read the first couple of pages, and then we're going to go laser focus onto Gen X, which was the 13th generation, or the nomads, the nomad archetype in the Strauss and Howe theory. We also have a couple of videos to watch tonight, which is kind of fun, so we don't have to listen to me talk too much, which is always a good thing. So
that's what we're here for. We love listening to you talk. I mean,
I know, right? I talk so much.
It was just 5.5 hours, by the way.
Yeah, on Friday night. That was pretty epic.
Incredible, but
it was also a great live stream.
Patrick is wow, that guy is so cool.
He is.
And,
He was so nice to join me,
Yeah.
and he gave. I could have kept him even longer. Like he was willing to stay forever, as long as I needed him, and I was tempted to keep him a little bit longer, but
well, let's get him again, and we should also tell him he can pimp his actor stuff. He's got a studio here in LA, and I might have to reach out to him and see if maybe he wants to hook up with the theater I work with.
Cool.
Networking is a thing here in LA, and you never know. I mean, like I've been thinking about putting on a show for a while. My girlfriend and I were going to do it. But
cool.
We were, but that's no longer happening. But I can still put on a show anytime I want to. So
right. Cool. Well, definitely gotta use that connection.
Yeah, I can rent cheap theater space.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Cool.
It's amazing.
Right on. For Gen X meetup.
Oh yeah, we could do that too, man. We could have a Gen X improv meetup at the theater.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Ever watch Gen X improv? That'd be fun too.
That would be good. We were always that was very much a part of our generation. The whole improv comedy, like we consumed a lot of it, and we did a lot of it. I think
improv as an art form began during the boomers' lifespan, but it flourished under our auspices. And a lot of our best improvers are Gen X. I mean, all the best improvers right now are Gen X.
Right.
Your Wayne Brady's and your Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery's. And
I tell you what, I watched so much Whose Line Is It Anyway in college, the British and the American version, and in my 20s, constantly.
I devoured the British version.
Yes.
I just so many. All right, we gotta talk about the book.
Oh yeah, it's book night. Sorry, sorry everyone. Yeah, and then the Christopher Guest movies in the 90s were amazing.
Oh, I know you did that whole video on Christopher Guest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I knew you were into it. It's a different type of improv than when you're sitting in a theater and
right, very different.
Good in front of you. Or I got into it during the pandemic. It's like, what can you do? I did Zoom improv during the pandemic.
Wow. That's one thing I could never do. It's just not. I know that the rule is just do the yes and just do the yes and you'll.
No one ever taught me that.
Really?
No.
You need to read Tina Fey's book, Bossy Pants.
No, I need to read some more Del Close, but no. I swear to God, I've had 4 improv classes. No one ever said anything about yes and in the beginning.
Jeez, I thought that was like the rule number 1 of improv.
It is. It's rule number 1.
Like just accept what's in front of you and move forward and build onto it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. Okay. I just get. I mean, I was like, you're in hell. What did you do? Nothing. I shouldn't be in hell. I shouldn't be here. I'm a good person. Don't you understand? I shouldn't be here.
All right, so let's go ahead and get this book up on the screen.
My kiddo just started singing some song behind me because I was doing a little improv.
All right, if you are reading along in your paperback copy, like with what I have here, it's on page 171. On the digital copy, it's probably page 412. I'm kidding. It's page 2.
You're probably not wrong.
We can't get the pages right depending on the version that you have. So basically, we are starting at the very beginning of chapter 7, The Second Turning, Consciousness Revolution, 1964 to 1984. I will let you keep your eyes focused on the chat for any questions or comments that you want me to bring up while I read through this next couple of paragraphs. All right. Where were you in 62? Asked the ad for American Graffiti, one of many films, plays, and songs about what America was like just before the mood shift, before November 22nd, 1963. John Kennedy's assassination became a personal milestone for nearly everyone alive at the time. Immediately after that tragedy, people wanted to believe that nothing had been touched. Theodore White surveyed a grieving Washington and declared it all as it had been before, unchanged. Yet, even if America had not changed on the outside, an irreversible inner change had begun. A new wedge was penetrating the national psyche. The next year, 1964, brought the opening skirmishes of several new movements whose full meaning would reveal itself over the next 2 decades. That spring, Ed Sullivan invited the Beatles onto his show, implying elder approval for young people who bang drums and let their hair grow. That summer, the GOP convention that nominated Barry Goldwater set an angry new tone for politics, and inner cities unleashed the first of many long, hot summers. That fall, Berkeley's free speech movement raged against the academic establishment, and Democrats ran ads warning that Goldwater would incinerate flower-picking children. Meanwhile, LBJ had arranged a Tonkin Gulf incident. I like how they say he arranged it.
Now we do know it was a false flag.
Yes, it was 100%.
We know that 100%.
Yes, but that's interesting that they even they said arranged. Yeah. Meanwhile, LBJ,
still, in the 90s, it was still under wraps a bit.
It was. But it was being taught. I remember my roommate in college wrote a paper on the Gulf of Tonkin incident because her dad was in the area. He was in the military at the time, and her dad was in the Tonkin Gulf or whatever. And so that's the first time I ever even knew about that there was even a issue with it. But
I took a history of America and Vietnam class that was at Mesa College in San Diego that was also simultaneously taught at UCSD at the same time by the same professor. So it was the same class essentially.
Gotcha.
And that was, I think, 94, 95, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. And we knew at that time it was a false flag. So this is 97. So, but I mean, and there was a couple of vets in that class too, being it was a night class in a community college. Mm-hmm. They knew it too. So, it did take a long time for anyone to admit anything happened.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, it was one of those things that was a bit more of a conspiracy theory kind of a thing before it became an accepted fact.
It's like MK Ultra. It's one of those conspiracy things
100%
have to be true.
yeah. So that's definitely what it was.
It's not all crazy tin pot theories. Most of it, yes.
This was this like I said, my roommate wrote about it, and I was probably 96 or 97 when she wrote this paper. And it honestly was one of the first times that that I was 19, 20 or whatever. And it was one of the first times where I even thought about the possibility that our government or our leadership could do things to manipulate their agendas or the American public and their support or their, or their non-support of something. Or it was the first seed that was definitely planted in my brain that,
that's part of that unraveling that happened during the third turning.
Yes.
It's part of that. We started to realize that our government institutions were not at all infallible. In fact, we're totally fallible.
Right.
And we genuinely saw for ourselves that the wool had been pulled over our eyes. So, and that goes along with, the turnings and the cyclic cycle of what we're talking about. It's
100%.
That same stuff happened, 80 years prior after the second turning of the Gilded Age, during right before the Roaring Twenties. So,
yep. Yeah. Absolutely. And so basically, by the time we were young adults in the 90s, that was the unraveling of everything that had been brewing in our childhoods in the 70s and the early 80s. And so it was all and it makes sense. But at the time, nobody questioned Gulf of Tonkin. Nobody I mean, not that there wasn't protests against Vietnam and all that stuff, but the details of what were going on, nobody thought that they were being lied to, or the concept of a false flag, or that,
Also,
go ahead.
Also, the media coverage of Vietnam was unprecedented.
Yes. It was the first televised war.
Right. And so when you're seeing it live on TV, how can you question anything that's going on? Because you're looking right at it.
Absolutely.
And the footage, that's a lot of that footage is pretty damning. That's why we did find out about things like My Lai and stuff like that.
Right. So, but the other thing to go with that is that at the time they didn't realize, but we started finding it out in the 90s and in the third turning, that the media was being manipulated by our government. Not just the media, but also the movies. Anytime you see anything military connected in any kind of media or any kind of movie or any kind of anything, you can trust and believe the DOD had something to do with it in some way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they either had to approve the uniform usage, or they could, or the military, the weapons that were used, or whatever it was. So their government was always involved. They even have a media office in the Department of Defense. And a film office and all that stuff. There's a really great movie called The Charlie Wilson's War, and it really dives into this kind of a thing. So yeah, they're warming us up to aliens strategically within the movies too. You're right.
Oh, they're already here.
Yep, they are.
Lizard people are here. We know it.
Yep. All right, let's get back. Meanwhile, LBJ had arranged a Tonkin Gulf incident that would soon enrage flower children of a different sort. A rupture appeared between the mood of the people and the mood of their leaders. On Capitol Hill, the nation's business went forward in an atmosphere of mutual understanding and respect, reported Advise and Consent novelist Alan Drury, while riots and violence flared in many places over the country. America had entered the awakening today, remembered as the consciousness revolution. So that is the groundwork that's being set for how they passed into the first and second turning. And unlike a turning up from the fourth to a first to a second is a lot more unnoticeable.
Right.
Or
it
happens like in an instant. There's something that happens that switches the mood, which is what we usually refer to a lot of times as those cultural moments that everybody knows where they were, that kind of a thing. So, and here they have the day marked as to the turning here, which was November 22nd, 1963. And we understand that. We get it. It makes sense.
I had my grandfather had kept his copy of TV Guide from the week after Kennedy was assassinated.
Oh, wow.
And so I grew up looking at that thing and kind of getting a little bit of a picture of what television was like that week, because, remember, it was still printed like a week or two in advance, but it did have Kennedy on the cover. And, there was definitely there was an article about it, and there was, all sorts of, like, the whole issue had to be redone and everything. So, I got a little sense of that world. And also, 63, my uncle would have been, 63, my dad would have been 16. My uncle would have been 17. My mom would have been 12. My other uncle, 11. So, and my grandparents were still all alive. So I did ask them, and I talked to them about it, and they all said to a person, this country changed in a heartbeat. And we all felt that too. We all felt that on September 12th, 2001.
100%. That's 100%. Exactly where my mind went when I was reading this.
Not necessarily Challenger, although that was a huge deal.
Right.
Challenger was a huge deal. We all remember where it was.
I think it was more of a big deal for kids.
But it was a bigger deal for a child because we all watched it live in classes.
Right.
And it didn't affect adults quite as much. But adults had already seen disasters in space. We hadn't.
Right.
Because there hadn't been a disaster in space since the 60s.
I was going to say the Apollo project wasn't. There was like the first
Apollo 1 was the last accident in the NASA's history.
Yep.
And that Apollo 1 was 1967, I think.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, Challenger was a huge deal, but it wasn't worldwide. It wasn't like, and the moods changed, but they were a lot less subtle. There were a lot more subtle changes. It wasn't a huge, holy crap, we have to get together and hey, let's all start wearing, American flag pins.
Right.
Or, oh my God, our president is dead. We have to, keep forward. Right. Camelot is fallen. And, a lot of that, Kennedy, we like it, Kennedy. If we don't know what an assassination is like at this point as a political country, we don't know what it's like to lose our president in our
right. I mean, we've come close a couple of times in recent years, but we haven't.
We don't know
we don't know what that would be, what that would do to the American mood or the temperature or whatever. I mean,
we might be coming up on one. Who knows?
Yeah. God, I hope not. I would have. It would start a war. Oh my God. All right. Although the awakening was made possible by this durable confidence in the American way of life, the era eroded first the confidence, then the way of life. I thought that was quite a line. So let's do it one more time. The awakening, the second turning, was made possible by our durable confidence in the American way of life, what they had built in the 40s and the 50s. And what the second turning did to that, the era first eroded the confidence, then it eroded the way of life.
Yeah.
The erosion of confidence began in 1964, signaled by 3 apocalyptic films: 7 Days in May, Fail Safe, and Dr. Strangelove. And I've got to be honest, I've only seen Dr. Strangelove, which is amazing. I've never seen 7 Days in May or Fail Safe, so they are now on my list of movies to watch.
Dr. Strangelove is a loose remake of Fail Safe.
Oh, it is? Okay. I knew it was a remake of something, but I didn't realize it was Fail Safe.
Yeah,
okay.
No, it is. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I mean, Dr. Strangelove is the one that had the most effect on the culture.
Yeah, it says the erosion.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
This is the war room. Yeah, but that erosion of confidence began with these 3 movies, and each one indicted the high's trust in authority, government, and technology. So that was it changed because throughout the 40s and 50s there was a very high trust in our institutions and our leadership and all of that, and that started to, as soon as Kennedy was assassinated, it just automatically poked a hole in all of that, and it started the erosion. To the new mindset, social authority came at an unacceptable cost. Corporations crushed the individual. Police oppressed the poor. Academia smothered creativity, and parents deformed the child's psyche. Like long hair, this attitude began in the mid-60s among the children of the affluent. By the late 1970s, it had filtered its way down through the middle and working classes to the poor. In The Dream and the Nightmare, Myron Magnet observed that an awakening that began as an experimental euphoria among secure elites ended with pandemic, family, and community dysfunction, whose most debilitating symptoms were observed among the poor. So I thought that was interesting that it started in the upper class and then made its way all the way down.
Yeah, I wonder you want to know where the erosion of the middle class started. It's right here too.
Yes, 100%.
All of these, all of the boomers who bought into this this whole mindset. They took that cannonball sized hole in Camelot and really wanted to just tear the whole thing down. And that was the psychology. That was the mindset of a lot of the radical movement in the 60s, is they wanted to tear every institution down.
Yes.
And then they became yuppies and bought into all these institutions, which is the hypocrisy of the century.
Yeah, it is. It's wild.
Because they failed miserably. They failed at tearing down the corporations. They failed at rearing children. The parents deformed the child's psyche. Yeah, and these guys did worse. They did much more damage.
Well, the biggest thing they did, one of the biggest things they did, in my opinion, was, especially with public policy and spending, they basically charged a bunch of shit on a credit card that their kids and their grandkids are going to have to pay off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we turned into a consumer society. We gutted the manufacturing and the production of our of our society, our middle class, our working class. And so it just, yeah, the boomers, I don't know, man. And it sucks. I hate that. But one thing I wanted to point out about the 1960s and the political divide was a lot of people don't remember or don't know that in 1968 there was actually 3 major candidates. It was
right.
it was the only time since probably 92 would be the only other time in our lifetime that we could remember there being 3 major candidates in a presidential election. But yeah, 68 was a very volatile political year because things had came apart so rapidly and
one of those candidates getting assassinated right in the middle of the election didn't help.
Yeah, no, that didn't help either. But yeah, it was a 3-way race in 1968, which doesn't happen very often in the way our political structure is set up, but it had splintered so bad. With each passing year, the awakening spirit penetrated the mainstream more deeply. Those who trusted the old verities became ever more anxious about what could come next. Moving down the page to 1969, during 4 midsummer weeks in 1969, 3 landmark events, Apollo 11, Woodstock, and Chappaquiddick, dramatized the most poignant contradictions of awakening era America. The first moon landing was a sublime expression of man's technological grandeur, marking the ultimate in mission control for those who believed in science, teamwork, and the conquest of nature. It achieved what Ayn Rand called concretization of American rationality. Yet, as the media reminded everyone, moon rockets also diverted resources from poor people. The capsule had barely returned when Woodstock coarsely challenged the social order that had made it possible. Grandeur was passé. Bigness now meant half-clad mobs, not uniform phalanxes. Meanwhile, Ted Kennedy's Chappaquiddick misadventure exemplified Americans' declining standards of public decorum and private virtue, and their flight from the suffocating duties of family life and child raising. Here, I'll just finish this paragraph, and then we'll move on. In between watching these news stories on TV, people went to the bookstore to buy Portnoy's Complaint, to the theater to see Oh, Calcutta, and to the movies to watch Rosemary's Baby. Jimi Hendrix's siren song Star Spangled Banner marked America's cultural Rubicon. Nothing in the culture would ever again feel quite the same, or later feel quite so spontaneous and new.
Yeah, that's not to be discounted. That whole era of Pax Americana is some of what it's called ended. In 68, 67, 68 over. Yep. And the new era, the new 70s began. And that was the era of total freedom, of, for the first time in especially after 73, total freedom in terms of, there were no longer any real class structures. There's no, gender equality was better than ever. And the 70s didn't even progress that much further.
Yeah. It's just a weird time. And this was right before I was around. So I have no memory of this era, but Gen X was starting to arrive. I know that there are,
so I'm coming.
Yeah. I know there are pictures of little babies and kids at Woodstock. Not a ton, but there were there.
Well, there's more kids conceived and born at Woodstock.
Yeah, that's true.
There are a lot of kids conceived at Woodstock, I'm pretty sure.
I think that's probably a fair assessment.
I think if you look 9 months later.
Yeah.
Because they said everybody who actually said they were at Woodstock was at Woodstock, it would have taken up the whole state.
Yeah. That's one of those things that you just kind of, that's like what do they call it? Stolen valor. Woodstock stolen valor. Anyone who is then anyone who is then an adult in the 60s can recall how shifting generational currents influenced the history of those years. Indeed, memories of the awakening follow generational lines. For GIs, the consciousness revolution was a time of disappointment, humiliation, and angry division. For the silent, these were the times of personal passages when their lives became more turbulent and adventuresome. For boomers who recall this era the most favorably, the awakening laid out a lifetime agenda. For 13ers, this was, as the young writer Julia Phillips puts it, like one of those stories where nobody laughs and you say, guess you had to be there. The mood of the American high was unsustainable. Like a bubble in history, with or without the assassinations, the Vietnam War, and Watergate, the seculum had to have its awakening. So, yeah, it was just a very, very turbulent one. But even without all of those things, even if only half of those things happened, or, or none of those things happened, it would have happened. There was something would have turned about that would make the awakening do its thing.
Because that's what they do.
Yep. Because an awakening is an era of cultural upheaval and spiritual renewal. That was the one line that I highlighted. Let's see. I'm going to go down just a little bit farther. When a society moves from a high to an awakening, the mood shift is deceptive. At first, people regard it as a minor, if refreshing, fillip to trusted institutions. Then the new passions gain force, laying siege against an old order that doesn't know how to stop building. As society's inner life strengthens, its outer life weakens. People exalt rights over duties, self over society, ideals over institutions, and creativity over conformism. Now that sounds like the 70s to me. I wasn't really there much, but the me generation, the self over society, the ideals over the institutions, creativity over conformism. That sounds like the late 60s and the 70s. Am I wrong? You were around the 70s more.
Nope, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Especially, what you were saying, the self over society.
Yeah.
That is the epitome of the 70s.
Yeah. And it really, and this is when you really see marketing and merchandising really, really take off. I mean, not that there wasn't marketing and merchandising in the 60s and in 50s, but
no, you can call it, I'll tell you what we call that. It's the Star Wars effect.
Yeah, the Star Wars effect. and the thing is, because the me generation, we were able to find our identities or whatever through products, through the things that we bought, through the.
We're going to talk about this next week.
Yeah.
Earlier, we're going to talk about this next week when we get to MTV.
Yes.
So stay tuned for next week because we're going to have an awesome discussion about MTV being marketed to, but we're going to tease that. We're going to be good podcasters.
that's for the third turning. That's for when we get to our young adulthood. But right now we are in childhood.
We want our MTV.
Yes.
Like how I did that?
Yeah, very nice. Good
I'm
job.
working on it.
Let's see. Where to go? At a distance.
I mean, I think of, what song I think of that just epitomizes the 70s is the damn Pina Colada song. Because I can't get it out of my head.
God, I love that song.
I love that song. I love that whatever it is in the stupid movie. But you think about that song, and it's just icky. It's icky.
It's evil. It's evil. It's supposed to be a love song. But
it's not a love song.
But
if that's a love song, hand me the cocaine that you were on.
We had to have a Rupert Holmes break there. If you're going to bring up the Pina Colada song.
That was so much fun. You gotta do that.
But it is, because for those of you that don't know what the Pina Colada song is about, it's a song about this guy who's married, and he's tired of his lady. They've been together too long. Yes.
He's in the store next to him, and he's reading the late edition.
Yep. So he puts an ad in the Personals, if y'all remember the Personals in the newspaper, to find a date. And his date.
He reads the Personals first.
Oh, I was thinking. Oh, that's right. He's reading the Personals. That's right. He's reading the Personals. And this is what he reads if you love pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. So he responds to the ad.
Yeah.
And and then at the end of the song, he goes to meet this girl that he's answered the ad for, and it ends up being his wife.
Or his old lady.
His old lady.
Remember we used to call our partner's old man and old
Yeah,
lady?
I never liked that term.
I never did either. That's a 70s thing. I didn't even know he had another song.
Yeah, I didn't.
And I'm from that era. I remember when that song was out, you know.
Yeah.
God.
Amazing. Okay. I'm sorry for the
No. This is what you get with Gen X Book Club.
That's
you
true.
You get video breaks with Pina Colada songs.
We are the generation of pop culture references. We're the ones that started all that shit in media. So
exactly.
we're gonna own that.
We've got the multimedia, like you know, when we used to just have these conversations, you're sitting around at a party talking about stuff.
That's
you didn't even have a phone where you're like, hey, look at this video. You just have to like sing the songs to your friends or point out the useless trivia, and they're like, that's not true.
Yep.
You know, now we can actually just back it up and say, hey, remember this song? Woo.
Yep. That's the best part of technology today is the easy act.
I'm telling you, I love the ability to pull up any song ever written ever. It's my favorite thing in the world.
It's nice. It's awesome. Same with TV shows and movies. Like if whatever I want to watch, I can just pull it up. I can find it somewhere. And that's really awesome. However, there's something to be said for the old way of just, going through the radio, going through the TV channels, and but yeah, it's really cool to have. Yeah, but here's the thing: is for the young kids that don't have the knowledge of all of this stuff, they don't even know what they're looking for, so they don't find this stuff. You know, does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like we at least know what we're looking for, but when you haven't been exposed to it, but YouTube.
You should see how many YouTube video playlists I have now.
Yeah.
They're all music videos, just music videos.
Yes. I would like to say that I'm one good thing about YouTube.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, what was the subscriber count today?
Let's see here. Where am I at? I gotta look.
I know you're over 100K.
100,232.
Wow. Woo-hoo. 200 some odd new subscribers since Tuesday.
Yep.
Or since Friday. That's awesome. Running for nothing and shit for free.
Yes. Oh. And I'm also working on a merch store. And we'll get some book club stuff up there. Yes.
Crouching Taylor, Hidden Swift.
Yay, member for 7 months. Woo-hoo. Appreciate it. Our next members only live stream, just so you know, will be about first crushes, because that's going to be a video I want you guys to help with. So first celebrity crushes, music, movies, TV, whatever it is. It's going to be a fun one. So be thinking about that.
Kim Richards from Escape to Witch Mountain.
Really? Did you ever watch Real Housewives?
What?
Did you ever watch Real Housewives when she was on there?
No.
No, you didn't. Her and Kyle. Yeah.
I know she's a freaking train wreck now.
Yeah.
And I liked her then. Also,
I understand that.
Tatum O'Neal from both Paper Moon and
Bad News Bears.
Bad News Bears.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jodie Foster, although, as she grew up, not so much. Same with Christy McNichol, not so much. Trying to think who else. Oh man, okay, now I gotta think. I'm thinking all those crushes from before I was,
Gotcha. You have a couple weeks. You have a couple weeks to put your list together before we have the member live stream. But for members, just so you know, if you want to join the channel I've got 5 on it level, you get a monthly member live stream where you help me make a video. You give me your contributions. The next video that I put out is going to be the last one that they helped me with. It's so close to being done. I'm working really hard on it. So I wanted to make it really good. So I get really, really, picky about things, and I spend too much time on one tiny detail, and that's why it's taking so long. But
are you going to get Patrick to say something about Heather, since I know it's going to be in the video?
Oh, well, actually it's not, because it's about 90s movies. and Heather's came out in 1989. So 'tis not in the video.
Damn.
I'm sorry, but them's the rules.
What kind of movies was he in that we could do that though for?
For Patrick, he was not in any like major, like he was in Three Ninjas, but that wasn't really a Gen X movie. He was in Jag in the '90s, so he wasn't doing the movie.
Oh well.
Movies. That's all right. Well. I know. Opportunity missed, but that's the whole topic of the video is that 90s Gen X movies were my thing because I do a whole introduction about the 80s and John Hughes and all that kind of stuff, and I even show a little clip of Heather's that the things were starting to change, but by the 90s, that's when my Gen X movies came out. So, anywho's, that video is coming soon, so be on the lookout for it.
Yay!
All right, yay! At a distance, Awakening eras are memorable for their images of contrasting extremes. The triumph of power, wealth, and knowledge side by side with the passionate outcry of the spirit. Typically, the former reflects the achievements of the ruling generation, the latter, the voice of the rising generation. Let's see. Awakenings.
Over this next part because that's like it's really funny. It's really funny about Cardinal Wolsey and all that stuff. Unless you really know your history.
Yeah. That's one thing that I'm glad you pointed that out though, because it's amazing what things that they just kind of assumed everybody knew what they were talking about because they were so prominent in these generations or in the culture. Like 20, 30 years later, we're like, who the hell what are you even talking about? Like, it's so, it's interesting what you think is going to be memorable or prominent it just doesn't track a couple of decades later. Like what?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows who Martin Luther was, but do they know who Cardinal Wolsey was? No.
Yeah, I don't.
I only know because he was in the Blackadder episode.
Yeah, it is. It's so far removed. And I mean, good God, the news cycle is like on like 60 minutes at this point, like 60-minute news cycles, because there's shit that people post about 3 days ago that I've forgotten about. Like, or news events or things that happen or, and it's just like, so remembering something from 30 years ago or 50 years ago, like,
or 500 years ago.
Yeah. Or 500 years ago. Speaking of, I want to bring this up while we're talking about it, why I'm thinking about it. After we get done with this book.
Oh yes.
I want to do a special couple of weeks on The Fourth Turning is Here, which is the book that Neil Howe wrote a couple of years ago. I don't want to read the entire thing. I've already read it. I don't want to read the entire thing on book club simply because it's basically a modern retelling of Generations and The Fourth Turning, the books that we have all just read. And so there's really no reason to go through and read all of that again. There's different angles and different stuff in there. But I just don't want to go through it all again. I feel like we've really kind of, I don't want to beat a dead horse, basically. But I do want to do a couple of weeks on the last couple of chapters where they talk about the fourth turning is here and what you can expect. So we will do a couple of weeks on that. Then we will do probably 3 or 4 weeks on the Strauss and Howe book 13th Gen, which is about Generation X. That was the book that kind of introduced the concept from a sociological level of our generation. Douglas Copeland's book was a fiction book, but Strauss and Howe's 13th Gen was the book that was like, this is this generation. This is how we see them. And it came out in like 93.
So yeah, I mean, Copeland's it's fiction. It's like metafiction too. So it's really, it's so long ago that I read it. I don't even know where my copy is, but I have one.
Yeah.
But
that book gave us the name, but it didn't define our generation.
It also gave us the term microserfs, which I always loved.
Nice.
But it's not a sociological treatise. It is simply a metafictional narrative that touches on a small cohort of people
Right. That were 20 somethings in the around the late 80s, early 90s. So but so we'll do 13th Gen. It'll probably take us 3 weeks. It's a very easy read. It's a very different kind of book than their other books. But it's a good one. So that will be the end of our Strauss and Howe, and that will get us through the end of this summer. And then Grendelson. I have the books that we're going to be reading after that. For the rest of the year, for the fall. I'm going to show it to you because I've been listening to the audio version, but today I got the hardback in the mail because this book is so good. I wanted a copy for my library. Dun, 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 dun.
No way. No way. That is pretty.
It's a beautiful book. It's called What Happened to Your Hair? How We Played Loud, Loved Proud, and Never Backed Down Together by Matthew and Gunnar Nelson. In my opinion, it is the ultimate Gen X autobiography. It is
brand new, isn't it?
Yes, it just came out. It just came out a couple of months ago. And this is such Gen X humor on the back. On the back when they usually give you the rave reviews from people,
Yeah, read this book because it'll change your life.
Right. In here, back here, they go, I was married to their father. I'm not impressed. Mom. Nelson's over and they're just costing me money. David Geffen. Axel could do it better. Aaron Everly. Like it's all they're like just slams. I've never met anyone who can make more out of nothing than you two. Here's my favorite one. Here's my favorite review of the Nelson twins. The only reason I was being nice to you is because the only reason I was being nice to you is because I thought there was a house in it for me, Matt's first wife.
That's great. No, actually, I definitely want to read that because, first crushes, Tracy Nelson.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
My mom's crush, Ricky Nelson. Yeah, my parents let me watch when Disney Channel first came on. Ozzie and Harriet, strangely, was one of their flagship shows. And so for a while, we watched Ozzie and Harriet every night,
Heck yeah. I watched Ozzie and Harriet as a kid. All of this is there. Like their amazing family tree and what their life was like.
I know.
Yeah, their babysitter.
Grandparents were on national television. Jesus.
Yeah, and their dad. And their dad was either you loved Ellen or you loved Ricky Nelson. Their dad was insane. He was the original teen idol. Like, but it's such a good autobiography. Any Gen Xer will relate to it. Like it, and it's not. These weren't rich kids that were. These weren't trust fund kids. They weren't, in a Hollywood bubble by any means. They lost their dad at 18 in a very horrific way, and his name was dragged through the mud in the media. They had a horrible mother, and they lead into their Gen Xness in this whole book. This book is so good. I'm going to do a video about it, like this book, like their whole family, because it's just so interesting, and they had such an impact on Gen X from their grandparents to their parents to them themselves. So
their mother, Mark Harmon's sister, right?
Yeah, their mother's Mark Harmon's sister. And they have pictures. Like like I said, I originally had this on audio, but now it was so good I wanted to have an actual copy of it. But they have old family pictures in here. And you'll see there's one here of Mark Harmon when they're little.
Uncle Mark.
UCLA
quarterback.
Yeah, this is when he was quarterback at UCLA. If you can see the family photo there, it has Mark Harmon and Ricky Nelson and their evil mother, and then the twins are on the bottom with Tracy. There's Tracy on the bottom too. Yep. So it's super good, and I'm really excited to share this with the book club and for us to read it together. And it's going to have some good audio visual components. It'll be a multimedia presentation because there's so much TV shows and movies and music to listen. Like it'll be a fun read.
Nice.
Nice.
Not to change the subject. Crouching Taylor Hidden Swift sent a $2 super chat. Says Nixon resigning, Trump non-consecutive terms.
Was this?
Not sure what that meant.
Are you trying to mark times of turnings?
Maybe. Yeah.
Because
could be.
That wouldn't be a marker. I mean, Nixon resigning happened in the second turning. Trump's non-consecutive terms are part of the fourth turning. But those are definitely, those are major presidential moments in those different turnings for real, for real. Thank you for the $2, Crouching Taylor, Hidden Swift. Ricky Nelson died on your 21st birthday. Wow. That was New Year's Eve, 1985, I believe.
I was telling my mom about your stream and that you hit 100,000, and that we rock out to Nelson, and and then I remind my mom, Ricky Nelson's kids, and she goes, oh, I love Ricky Nelson. Do you remember when we went and saw Ricky Nelson in concert at the Wild Animal Park? Yes, Mom, I do remember. And you remind me every time I mention Ricky Nelson. But yeah. We did. We got to see Ricky Nelson before he died.
That's amazing.
Perform at the San Diego Wild Animal Park, which is now, I think, the Safari Park. And because they used to have, every summer, they used to have free concerts every weekend. Not great bands, but, a lot of old folk people. I saw the Kingston Trio and the Limelighters and Ricky Nelson. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't know how much they do. I don't think they still do that.
The free stuff, probably not.
Yeah, back in the day, they used to have free concerts out at the Wild Animal Park, and they would have it'd just be a field and a stage and grass,
Nice.
It was fun.
I was thinking about having, if I do a meetup next year of any kind, to do it at a Nelson concert, because they do about 100 shows a year. So, yep, I'm spreading the Nelson effect.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, Nelson got themselves on a major HBO TV show in the last year, so something's happening.
Yes. Yeah, they even talk about that in one of the photos of how that happened. It's right here at the very end.
How it happened. Somebody was watching your live stream, remembered how much they loved Nelson, and reached out to him and said, hey, I want you on the show. That's how it happened. One of your subscribers is a producer on.
Yeah, of course. Here in this part of the book, it says a compilation of live shots from a Nelson concert at the Canyon Club in Agoura Hills, California, in the summer of 2024. This was the concert that the producers of James Gunn's The Peacemaker scouted us at that concert that promoted, and it prompted James to write the final episode of The Peacemaker's second season around. We filmed the episode for DC Comics' HBO hit show starring John Cena in Savannah, Georgia for 2 days performing To Get Back to You, and had an absolute blast. By the way, the episode is called Full Nelson.
Yeah, it's actually, they tie into the story.
That's amazing.
It's not just a concert. It's not just a throwaway moment. It actually, Nelson has something to do with the plot line.
That's amazing. Now I'm going to have to watch this. Now I'm going to have to watch
I mean, listen, it's a fun-ass show. It really is. I've watched it. I enjoy it.
I'm not going to complain about watching John Cena and the Nelson twins.
I was going to say, John Cena, I'm inclined to enjoy John Cena's work.
Yeah.
I like him as a human being. I didn't enjoy him as a wrestler. And as a wrestling fan, I never enjoyed him as a wrestler. I never liked his character.
Yeah.
I think John Cena, the human being, is amazing. And I like him a lot. And if I ever get to meet him, I'll tell him how much I enjoy his work.
There you go.
Just be cool.
I mean, that man crushed it. He
and he works hard.
The
dude genuinely works hard. And I think he's also a really cool dude.
Yeah, I think he does a lot of charity work under the radar. Like he doesn't
biggest Make-A-Wish person ever.
Yeah. And he doesn't flaunt his.
Still doesn't want to talk and barely talks about it.
Yeah. And that's how it really honestly should be, Eclectic Deb 4.99. Thank you, Eclectic Deb. FYI, I heard a bit of Dr. Drew touching on the fourth turning book today. Really? I didn't hear much as I was listening while working. I will definitely have to check that out. I still listen to Drew and Adam Carolla every once in a while. I can't help it. It's the 90s.
You listen to old ones, or they're not doing it?
They still have a podcast together.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They do it once a week. Because Carolla has his own thing and Drew has his own thing. But once a week they come together and they do a Dr. Drew and Adam
Are they? Do they? Is it like the old days or?
It's not Love Line-ish, but I mean they talk about just kind of current stuff that's going on, like just things
Nothing
in the news or
nothing will ever be like Love Line. Not that or those early days of Love Line. Nothing. I do remember listening to it on the radio first, but then the first couple of years of the MTV version, nothing like that. Nothing like that, and nothing like the Real World either. The first 5 or 6 Real Worlds, nothing.
90s MTV was elite.
It was so good. It was so good. We could have we should do a whole live stream on just that 90 to 96 MTV.
Yes, we will. Next, or this Friday's live stream, we're getting back into the 87, 92, the Electric Youth era, but the topic is MTV because there's so much change that goes on in MTV during those years.
Yeah, that's when it started.
Headbangers Ball started, Remote Control started, Dial MTV, Club MTV, Unplugged started as well. And it just shows, and this is, of course, Nelson's going to be involved in this because the way that the videos changed, there's a reason why the videos changed and how they did all of that. So anyway, it's going to be fun. Oh, that's so cool. You went to the 35th anniversary Electric Youth Tour 2 years ago. You got to see Debbie Gibson. Amazing. I always wanted to go see her.
Love Line was Dr. Ruth Blight.
I don't know.
Love Line was Dr. Ruth us. Dr. Ruth was not for us.
Right. That was for our parents.
That was for old fogies, Listen, I was in that age group. I didn't want to listen to Dr. Ruth go, you have to have some pee-pee in the I wanted to listen to I turned on MTV because, they were talking about things that I wish had happened to me.
Yeah. They got a little, some of those questions made me uncomfortable. I was just like, holy crap. All right, back to the book, or else we're never going to get done here. Awakenings produce this mood because the archetypes are then entering a new life cycle phase. Heroes enter elderhood, artists into midlife, prophets into young adulthood, and nomads into childhood. Generational differences come into sharp relief as prophets come of age, assaulting the hero's construction. All right. So the nomads before us had exited out of elderhood into their final years, and the heroes, which was the GIs, went into elderhood.
Yeah. So that's when our grandparents became super old.
Yeah.
And our parents were the boomers, and they're they're in charge, and they're being.
Some of our parents were silent. Some of the older.
Yeah, I forget about that. I do.
Yeah. But yeah, we had a mix of silent and boomers. We're gonna I'm gonna read this last little piece here, and then we're gonna watch a video. As nomads replace prophets in childhood, they are left underprotected at a time of social convulsion and adult self-discovery. Nomad generations have the misfortune to be children in an era when adults are persuading each other to shed social discipline and rediscover their deeper selves. Struggling to cope with the harsh underside of cultural upheaval, nomad children acquire a cynicism about moral crusades and a fatalism about weak adults apparently unable to make simple things work. They are expected to grow up fast and learn to be independent, resourceful, and competitive at an early age. As they do, however, these qualities earn their fledgling generation a negative reputation among adults. By the end of the awakening, as adults survey the damage done to the child's world, young nomads become metaphors of society's newfound pessimism about the future.
It's almost as if they were saying, hey, Gen X, this is you.
Exactly. That's exactly what they were saying. All right, let me let's see. I want to do the older Gen Xers first. Because I just saw it. Okay, here we go. There's this new channel called Psychology Unexplored that has been putting out videos about psychology of our generation. Now, It does use AI imagery, which I hate, but I like what they're saying in these videos, or I find them interesting. I think they're good conversation starters. So first, we're going to do the psychology of older Gen X, and then later in the stream, we're going to do the psychology of Zennials, and see how they're different. But let's see here. Let's give it a try.
And then we'll compare and contrast the two.
And somehow you turned out to be the one raising everyone else. If you were born between 1965 and 1972, you've spent most of your life being the person everyone counts on and the person nobody thinks to check on. Not because they don't care, because you made it look so easy, they assumed you were fine. You weren't always fine. You just never said that out loud. There's a very specific psychology behind why you became this person, and it starts earlier than you think. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Your generation makes up about 20% of the US adult population, but you hold 31% of all leadership roles. That's not a small gap. That's a generation punching 60% above its weight, in silence, with zero fanfare. No trend pieces, no magazine covers, no hashtags. Just a generation that walked into the room, figured out what needed to happen, and handled it.
That sounds pretty accurate so far.
Yeah.
They're talking about you, Grendelson.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, though. It's like I actively try not to be that stereotype. Like I know people do depend on me, but I'm also the first one to say I'm not doing all right here. I need
you are?
help. Yeah, I really am.
That's good. That's not.
I haven't always been like that, but over
gotcha.
the last several years, it's just like a defense mechanism at this point.
Right.
I can't bottle. I no longer bottle everything up. I simply let it out. And
has that come in midlife? Did that come for you in midlife?
That started probably. Well, I think it started after my marriage fell apart. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. That's just part of the, evolving as you grow and mature and get older and have different life experiences. But at the core of us, this is how we were.
Exactly, and there's a lot of things I won't ask for help with.
Yeah.
There's certain areas where I'm too proud to ask for help with.
Right.
Where there's but when it comes to my mental health and I'm definitely more of a open book and asking for help rather than closing myself off. But again, it has taken a lot of work.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I have not reached that point. I'm a very I'm a very introverted person as it is, and so I tend to keep to myself. But when I was younger,
I will say this: you do find out who your real friends are, and who the people that you can count on, and who the people that you feel like investing your precious time into.
Right.
And
the circle is small, really. I mean, and you learn that,
It is, and it gets smaller all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when you have people who remove from that circle, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, it hurts even more.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I never realized, growing up, how you would have kind of basically different friends for different areas of your life. Like very few people last the lifetime, if any, outside of family. Yeah. I'm lucky to have a couple from my childhood, but yeah, like you just have it's amazing how you have just different people at different times of your life. And it's kind of weird. I didn't realize that would be a thing. 1972, the reason they have 3 videos. They have the older Gen X video, the core middle from 72 to 77 video, and then they have the Zennial video from 77 to 83. So we're a little different. And we've talked about this before on the channel, how we're a little different, but we have a lot of the same through lines of the generation.
Yeah, like, for example, they say I'm a core. I don't consider myself core at all.
Yeah,
they consider me early.
Early, yeah.
Sorry,
you consider yourself
I
core.
consider myself core. Yeah, because I'm smack dab in the middle. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not early. Early to me is pre-70.
Right. If you're 60s, the 60s babies.
Yeah, you're a 60s baby. You're early Gen X. If you're a 70s, you're core.
Yeah. Early, I would say like 70 to 75, 70 to 76. That's your core Gen X.
Yep.
And then you got your Zennials like me that go into the 80s. So,
yeah. I mean, the early part is also known as Gen Jones sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a Gen Jones.
No. No, you are not. All right. Let's watch a little bit more of this.
Same way you've handled everything since you were about 9 years old. You grew up during one of the least supervised childhoods in modern American history. A 2004 study described your generation as one of the least parented, least nurtured in U.S. history. Divorce rates hit their peak right when you were young enough for it to reshape everything. Both parents worked, and the systems to catch the gap, they didn't exist. So you caught yourself. You came home to an empty house, made your own food, settled your own problems, learned at 9 that panic doesn't fix the pilot light, or the broken lock, or the fight between your siblings that nobody else was coming home to stop. And nobody called it neglect. They called it freedom. But here's what that actually built. Your brain learned very early that help wasn't coming, that the safest thing you could do was become competent enough to not need anyone. That's probably why you're the one people call when things fall apart.
I would say that that's one of the through lines of the entire generation.
Yep.
We all figured out, no matter what part of Gen X you are, that no help was coming. Nope. It was all on you.
Nope.
And
also we were encouraged to learn those skills too. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was encouraged to learn how to fix things.
Yeah.
You know, when I got a bike, I was encouraged to learn bike maintenance and keep it up.
100%. You know? Yeah. And if you're going to have something like that, you need to learn how to maintain it and, clean it and keep it working and all that good stuff. And I love being independent too. If I had to choose between the independent Gen X childhood or the coddled childhood of the millennials and Gen Z, I would pick our childhood every time. Like, I want the independence, because that independence and that teaches you. It teaches you how to take care of yourself. It teaches you how to interact with others. It teaches you skills. And there's a really good book by Jonathan Haidt called The Coddling of the American Mind that came out like 4 or 5 years ago. And he talks about how this change happened in the 80s into the 90s of not letting children be independent and free play and associate and learn how to, because when you go out and free play with other kids or out and doing other things, you learn how to absolve conflict between yourselves and your friends. You learn how to communicate. You learn how to teamwork. You learn how to, you just learn so much about yourself when you're able to go out and do it and to make mistakes, to make errors, to do dumb shit.
So Darwinism, survival of the fittest.
Absolutely. There's something to be said for that.
The kid fell off the jungle gym. He wasn't smart enough to breed.
Exactly. No, obviously there probably could be a nice balance between the two extremes of complete independence and total coddling, but you're never gonna really find that balance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll change those monkey bars from boiling hot steel to plastic that doesn't bend now.
God, I remember getting just the back of my thighs burned so bad once on one of those slides, those metal slides. Oh my God.
Well,
sat down on that thing, not expecting it to be so hot. It just, made you jump, just burn. But yeah, that's a good point, Deb. As much independence as I had and freedom as I had to do what I wanted, we still had family dinners regularly.
Yeah,
we still had that moment where the family would come together and, you would communicate with your parents, you would communicate with your siblings, talk about your day, talk about what you had going on in your world. And so you definitely still had that glue. I was definitely lucky to have that. So, yeah. And Edward is right. It was okay to make mistakes because we learned not to make them again. Exactly.
Yeah, so put your hand on the fire. It's hot. Oof.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
You fell and hit the gravel or concrete, rub some dirt on it.
Rub some dirt on it. Amen.
Rub some spit on it. Spit actually has saliva actually has a very powerful painkiller in it.
Powerful. If you have if you have a cold, just take some Tussin. You'll be fine.
Oh, you got a cold? Here's some Benadryl.
Some Benadryl, yeah.
But it's also why asking for help still feels like a foreign language. Even now, even in your 50s, even when you're carrying more than the math says one person should. And then there's the thing that was running in the background of your entire childhood that most people have completely forgotten about. You grew up during the Cold War, not as a chapter in a history book, as a sound in your house, the evening news, the drills at school where someone told you to get under a wooden desk, as if that was going to do anything except make you realize adults didn't have this figured out either.
Did you do the duck and covers in the? Yeah. Yeah, we had duck and cover when I was really little, but it was.
We also had earthquake drills, so that was.
We did too.
We had those. So.
We've never had we get small earthquakes around here because I live on the New Madrid fault line, but we've never had a major one in my lifetime. But
the big Silmar quake in '71 happened like 3 months after I was born.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and then
no fun.
Yeah, there was a big one when I was like 8 or 9 too, but. I wasn't here for the LA quake in '94, thank God.
Oh, you weren't?
No, I was in San Diego. We didn't feel a thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, Dimetap. Oh my God. That stuff was grape and it tasted like candy. Dimetap and Luden's cough drops or throat lozenges.
I do believe that's called Zizip now. What's Zizip?
In 1983, 100 million Americans watched a TV movie called The Day After. It showed a nuclear attack in graphic detail. You were somewhere between 11 and 18. And then you went to school the next day. The Cold War didn't make you paranoid. It made you pragmatic. If everything could end on a random Tuesday, you stop waiting for the perfect moment and just start handling things now.
Yeah.
So what was school like? Do you remember what school was like after the day after? Do you remember that?
I mean, I definitely remember a panic of, oh my God, we're going to die. I remember getting into an argument with my dad, like just telling him, who cares? Nothing. What does it matter? We're all going to get duped anyway.
Yeah. There
was after that aired in '83, there was definitely an era of holy shit, we're on the edge. And it felt with Reagan in the office, it kind of felt like we were on the edge, Well, yeah. And there was a couple of times where
Well, he definitely ramped up the defense spending, all the Star Wars stuff, and then Gorbachev, all that good stuff, So
there was a palpable feeling of, oh my God, and then that Red Dawn movie came out.
Yes, Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine. We're like, is that really how it's gonna go? And then,
and then Rocky IV came out and ended it all because if
Rocky
he can change, you can change. Anybody can change.
It does seem like that happened too, doesn't it? Rocky IV was '87, and 2 years later,
it was Rocky.
Stallone brought down the Soviet Union.
Of course, he did.
Well, that should be the name of a podcast.
Oh yeah, I like it. Yep, I live on the New Madrid. Let's pray that one never goes again. It would be a nightmare. Yeah, it literally changed the direction of the Mississippi River the last time it went off. Mississippi flowed backwards. Yikes.
Oh, wow. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Isn't it? Yeah. It's bigger than the San Andreas. New Madrid is the biggest fault line in North America. It just doesn't do its thing as much as the San Andreas does.
I read this
That's
morning.
That's not cynicism.
Oh, sorry.
I read this morning that the San Andreas is like under the most stress it's ever been under since the dawn of time, and we're all going to die soon.
Maybe there can be a Lex Luthor who goes out and just knocks it off the edge of the country so he can get some new beachfront property.
I mean, we can become an island. I'm happy with that.
just split it off.
A couple 100 miles from the coast. We don't need that desert anyway. Just let me erode that shit, and just let us be the little island of Califia.
I always loved that was the plot of the first Superman movie, was he wanted to blow up California so he could have new coastline that he owns.
People are no good. Stocks and bonds may fail, businesses may fail. People are no damn good. But they'll always need land, and they'll pay through the nose to get it.
Yep.
Tuesday, you stop waiting for the perfect moment and just start handling things now. That's not cynicism. That's a survival adaptation your brain made before you turned 15. You watched the Challenger explode on live television in 1986. You were somewhere between 14 and 21. Some of you were sitting in a classroom. Some of you were already working. All of you remember exactly where you were. 3 years later, you watched the Berlin Wall come down. And that thing your whole childhood had been built around, that background hum of nuclear dread, just stopped. No one debriefed you. No one said, hey, that thing you spent your entire childhood afraid of, it's over. Let's talk about what that did to you. They just moved on, and so did you. And it's the thing that got your generation mislabeled. People watched you shrug and called it apathy, wrote you off as slackers. But you weren't checked out. You just decided early, really early, that panic was a waste of time, and you kept showing up anyway.
I like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. Yep, you are a Zennial, born in 82. Zennials are about 76 to 84, 77, 84, somewhere in there. So you are right smack dab in the Zennial class with me. I'm very open on the Gen X on this channel. I include early 60s and I include early 80s because I think it, and it just depends on you and your self-identifying and where you fall on everything. But
hey, if you're a boomer, welcome. We don't hate you. We love you, boomers. You are our parents. We do love you. Yep. You're Jen Jones. And welcome aboard.
Yep. If you're straight up millennial, we welcome you. Yeah,
absolutely. If you're a Gen Z and this is all hilarious, welcome aboard. And if you're Gen Alpha, goo goo gaga.
That was good.
There's a tabletop RPG set in the 70s, but it's the 70s as portrayed in the media called Damnation Decade. I'm going to have to look that up.
Huh. Yeah, report back to me on that. That sounds interesting. I'm not a gamer, but that sounds interesting.
Yeah. Look at that. Damnation Decade.
I like this. I like your name, by the way. It's all simulation, man. I like that.
Take the blue pill.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Watch a little bit more of this, and we'll get back to the book.
And while nobody was paying attention to you, you built an entire musical era that every generation since has been trying to match.
It's true.
You were the first generation to grow up with MTV. The first to experience music as something you watched, not just something you heard. And what came out of that wasn't polished or safe. It was grunge. It was golden age hip hop. It was punk and alternative and sounds that came from garages and basements and places where nobody was watching. Nirvana didn't write anthems for stadiums. They wrote what it felt like to be you. And you were in your 20s when it hit. Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Public Enemy, Tupac. These weren't just artists. They were the only voices in your world that seemed to be telling the truth. Music wasn't background noise for your generation. It was identity. It was tribal. You didn't just listen to a genre. You belonged to it. And if you think that sounds dramatic, go say that in any Gen X comment section and watch what happens. You could probably name the album that got you through the hardest year of your life right now without even thinking about it. Now, here's the part that sneaks up on you. By your mid-20s, you were already in the workforce. No internet, no email. You learned your job by watching someone do it and figuring it out.
What was when you had your first jobs in I'm assuming the late 80s, early 90s, was there any tech involved with your first jobs, or was it more of a analog type of a deal?
My first jobs out of high school were all service oriented. So I worked at SeaWorld as a cashier at the whale shop.
Nice.
Yeah, that was my first job ever, summer of 16. I have
Nice.
stories.
I bet you do.
One night, I'll give you here's a tease. One night I got to be Shamu at Shamu Photo.
Oh,
That's
wow.
a good story. Then I worked as a server at one of the on-campus food places, and a couple.
Did you have to write your orders down on notepads, or did you have any?
No, it was just it was like a cafeteria, so I just
gotcha.
cooking burgers as a vegetarian. It was a lot of fun. And then I started working front desk at a hotel. And the hotels at that point, I started in 88 and I left in 92. And by 92, I was working in the back office and we were working on PCs. But we weren't connected to the internet. We didn't have a modems or anything. They were just PCs that we were
bookkeeping.
At home, I had already been connecting to the internet. By 92.
Definitely. Same here.
And then in 92, I started to go working. I worked for Price Club.
Okay.
Which is now Costco.
Yes.
And I was working for their corporate offices. And at that point, I entered the world of connected computers for the rest of my corporate career.
Yeah.
And we were on the forefront of being online because we had one of the first storefronts on the internet for our division of Price
Gotcha.
Club.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting decade to be a worker, because so many things changed. Like my first job was in 1992, 91, 92. I was 14. I was a car hop at our local burger joint, kind of like a Sonic, but it's a local place. And I had notepad and pen, and you'd go out and you'd mark the car by the last three digits on their license plate. And that was your table, right? And then you'd write down their order and you'd go get it and you'd take it back to their car and you get tipped. I made $1 an hour plus tips, and that was my first job. Everything was analog. There was not a computer in sight.
That was 95?
91.
Oh, 91. Geez, 91. I was making between $7 and $8 an hour doing front desk and night audit.
Nice. I was making $1 an hour plus tips, but you would get like $2 to $5 a car. So as a 14-year-old, I'd work like a 5-hour shift and I'd have $100 cash in my pocket.
Sure,
in 91, I mean, holy crap, I felt like I was the richest girl in town. making my $80 to $100 on my tips.
Money and just not knowing what to do with it.
Yep.
Getting a paycheck and spending it at Tower Records across the street, on the latest CDs that came out.
Yeah.
Back when you would buy a CD because you heard one song.
Yep. At that time, I only had cassettes. It wasn't until I got later into high school that I got my first CD player.
Well, that's what going to a tech-forward school. I had a CD player by my senior year in high school.
Nice. That was early. You were an early adopter.
Not really.
I mean, earlier. Making it earlier.
My dad's best friend was a artist, but he also moonlighted working as a stereo salesman. And he showed my father the first articles about CDs way back in the early 80s.
I was going to say early 80s is when it first came out. Yeah.
Right. He was talking.
It was so expensive. Nobody could. Yeah.
The man had bought compact discs before he ever bought a player because he worked at a stereo store, so he could play it.
Right.
But that was back when they were $30 to $40 a pop.
Yeah, and the CD players were hundreds of dollars.
CD players were hundreds. My first CD player only cost less than $100, and at that point, CDs, brand new CDs, were like $15, but you could usually get them on sale for $11 to $12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, jobs really changed in the 90s. So I had my car hop, and then I waited tables at Steak and Shake, and we had there were computers, but like you said, there was no internet or anything like that. And like the point of sale systems that we used to put in our orders were all the old school, were printed out on a piece of paper and yada, yada, yada. And even when I got into I got into my jobs when I was in college and got into television, like we were still working with analog editing systems, big old huge cameras with, Betamax or Super VHS or 1/2-inch tapes so, but then by the late 90s, everything started to go online now, but I did have internet at home, but I didn't hardly use it because it took 10 years to download anything. And, I would use it to chat with people and stuff, but I wasn't a computer nerd. So
I was obsessed. I would stay online for hours listening to CDs that came in long cardboard boxes. My very first CD was Sting's second album, Nothing Like the Sun. Wish I still had. I remember keeping that cardboard box for a long time because it had a really cool picture on it.
Yeah.
I remember I kept some of them because the artwork was really cool. Like I remember having 10,000 Maniacs, one of my favorite bands, and cutting out the artwork and putting it on my wall instead of, throwing away the cardboard. I wish I'd kept so many more of them because those things are actually worth money.
I know, right? It's amazing those little things that you don't realize that you just toss away and don't realize how great it would be to keep.
Tossed away.
I know.
You're not supposed to keep them. That's the thing. That's why toys got so expensive. Collectible toys got so expensive in the box because you're supposed to open them.
Yep.
You're supposed to keep your Star Wars figures from 1977 in the package. You're supposed to open up and play with them, and everyone did.
Oh, that's what it's for. Okay.
Yeah. And if you look over here, I have Star Wars figures pinned to my wall. Not old.
Oh, our generation.
We're the first generation to be marketed to. Again, a tease coming next week on this channel. We're going to be talking about being marketed to.
I'm going to watch another minute or so of this, and then we'll get back to the book.
Then over the next 3 decades, every tool you used got replaced, sometimes twice, and you adapted every single time. Not because you love technology, because adapting is what you do. It's the same skill your childhood installed. No manual, no mentor. Figure it out yourself, preferably before anyone notices you didn't already know. Which, let's be honest, is also how you assembled most of the furniture in your house. You learned the old world and the new one. And the ability to operate in both, that's rarer than people realize.
But
amen.
No shit. I remember dial-up phones, man.
Mm-hmm.
I had one.
Yeah, and we are the last generation to have lived in both worlds. Like truly. I mean, there's probably some older millennials that may have some recollection of it, but really they didn't operate in the before times.
No, come on. World. Before you had cable TV.
Yeah.
Listen, a cable TV was a game changer too. So
yes, it was.
And I remember pre-cable TV very, very well. Okay.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. I watched a lot of really
I
bad,
remember,
especially Sunday mornings.
Wasn't big on Meet the Press, were you?
Or no, it wasn't. It was the religious shows.
Oh, the religious shows.
I don't know if any people don't remember Sunday mornings. Yeah, it would be Meet the Press and the early morning news shows, and we were on the West Coast, mind you, so those would be on before I'd get up at 7 on a Sunday morning. But you turn it on, be Oral Roberts or Pat Robertson. I mean, 700 Club. I'm on the West Coast, and they still showed this shit. And
that was all those people that you just said were big parts of my childhood.
Completely.
Yep.
And you
but
have
no, that's what I'm saying. Like televangelists.
Empathy, not my sympathy. You have my empathy.
But they were, the 80s televangelists. That was definitely a big deal.
70s and 80s, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
and the thing is that you didn't have a lot of choices because you only got in. Yeah, you might have had. If I lived in LA, we had a lot of channels. We had 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and then all the UHF channels.
Okay, yeah, you had
4 or 5. We had a lot of
definitely had way more than I did. We had 4.
But we only got in like 5 of them good,
Right.
You try to turn in one of them and it would never. You had no. One of your stations would not come in. You just couldn't watch something on one channel, and God forbid it was NBC, ABC, or CBS. And then you're just fucked. Although if it was CBS, you didn't really care because CBS was the old people's channel.
It was the old people channel. There was nothing on there for you anyways.
Right. Yeah, so it wasn't for you. So it was for us. If it was channel 2, you weren't screwed. And it usually was the farther away you got from 2, unfortunately. Yeah, y'all don't remember rabbit ears. You don't remember. And
rabbit ears. I was getting ready to ask if you ever had. Were you the one that had to go adjust rabbit ears?
Oh man. Oh, you.
I remember getting cable on Christmas.
I remember getting cable. Absolutely.
Yeah, on Christmas in 1983, we got it, and the whole pitch to me was because at first I was like, "Why is this a present for me?" And they're like, "There's a whole sports channel," and I was like, "Oh yes, okay." And it had a box on top of the TV, and you had to flip the switch to flip it over to cable, and then you have your channels. So
what year did you get cable?
83.
83. Okay.
Yeah.
We got cable. Well, we had pre-cable in the late 70s. We had this thing called On TV, which was simply a premium movie channel. And it was a box that would go on top of your TV that we paid for every month. Okay. And you would flip to a certain UHF channel and turn the box on, and it would unscramble the channel, and it would be like an HBO, but it was called On TV, and they showed movies that were barely out of theaters, and they had a lot of live sports too. They had the local sports teams. It ended up becoming Prime Ticket, and ended up becoming Fox Sports. But it originally started off as this other premium movie service. And then when we moved to San Diego in 1980, we got cable within a year, because San Diego, which was one of the first cities in the U.S. to actually get cable, had notoriously bad television reception because of all the hills.
Gotcha.
It's very hilly down in San Diego. So as soon as I think we got within a year, so we had cable in like 81, but we didn't get MTV until 83, even though MTV started in 81.
Yeah, I think when MTV started in 81, it was pretty regional up in the New York area.
It was. Not everybody had it. My grandparents, who had cable starting in 1980, they got MTV. They didn't even get MTV until 82.
Yeah. I mean, and that makes sense.
My MTV was a thing for them to, they're like, call your cable company, tell them you want MTV.
Exactly. That was a big push on how they grew their channel. And it was very early on when they first started. They didn't have hardly any videos to play, really. It was just a whole developing, changing world of television. And they were, it took them a while to build up to where they were in all of the different cable systems throughout the country, because cable is very regional. I don't know how much people know about how the TV world works, but just like you have your, different TV markets with all your broadcast networks, you have your different regions for cable. And, still to this day, the cable we get here is Spectrum, which was Charter back in the day, but we get Spectrum. But I know some places used to have Clear Channel. I don't know if Clear Channel is still a thing, but there's different cable, companies available per region. It's very regional.
They're now all the internet service providers. All of the cable companies became internet service providers. As
they had to, or else they would have. Yeah.
Spectrum and Time Warner, they were all cable companies first.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All of your ISPs and all of your, T-Mobile was still a, what do you call it first? But AT&T, besides being AT&T, they also had a cable system.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
It all kind of congealed together, and now they're your ISPs.
Yep. And your movie studios are becoming tech company, or they're merging with all the tech companies. So like all of it, and that's just, it's going to be a
consolidating. There's going to be 4.
Yeah. Someday, I really hope all that gets busted up someday. Ugh. All right, let's get to the book because we're getting way behind here. Okay. We're going to skip forward to page 194 in the print version. It's the very end. It's the part about 13ers because that's what we're here for, right? We're talking about Gen X.
We're 13s.
We're 13s. 13ers, the nomads. Amid the gathering amid the gathering turbulence of 1964, baby making abruptly fell out of favor. In the spring of that year, American women were still giving birth at a record pace, but in the months that followed, conceptions plummeted, and by mid-1965, the U.S. fertility rate was entering its steep post-boom decline. A national fertility study confirmed that a third of all mothers now admitted having at least one unwanted child. Stay-at-home moms began wearing buttons that read, "Stop at 1, none is fun, and Jesus was an only child." The reasons for this sudden turn included birth control pills, nascent feminism, and a new society-wide hostility toward children.
Thank God my mom didn't say that.
I know, right?
I'm an only child. And interestingly enough, my uncle, my mom's brother, didn't have any biological children. He adopted a daughter very late in life. My other uncle, my dad's brother, did not have any children. So out of those four baby boomers, they replaced 2 of them. So yeah, my family's doing great. Woohoo!
Well, I tell you what, my generation in my family, all my parents' siblings all had children. So but the generation that I'm at now, me and my brother, we didn't have children. I have a cousin that didn't have children. It's like half and half. Half of them have kids, half of us don't. But it's like it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's just wild. And I this is one thing I definitely regret. I'm like, I can't be the one that like ends my bloodline. Like, this is terrible. Like, it sucks, but it is what it is. But it's just crazy.
I'll tell you, I think that's going to happen on mine because I don't think my kid is going to have a kid. And I'm fine with it. So if my name goes down, it goes down. I'm fine with it. There's other ones of my name out there and they are related to me, but if this ends, so be it.
Yeah. I like my family's been here since the early 1700s. So like that, I just the family legacy and the family and just the roots that we have in this part of the country as a family, and they're still there, and we, like I said, they're still next generation. I have a couple of cousins that had a lot of children, so they're still there, but I kind of wish I'd have contributed. More than I wish I would have contributed. Figure that out a little too late.
Oh, well.
America's new anti-child attitude revealed itself most clearly in the media. By the mid-1960s, the production of smart kid family sitcoms and creative kid Disney movies slowed to a trickle. Replacing them was a new genre featuring unwanted, unlikable, or simply horrifying children. Rosemary's Baby, a thriller about a woman pregnant with an evil demon, anchored a 20-year period in which Hollywood filmed one bad kid movie after another. The Exorcist, It's Alive, The Omen, Halloween. Most came with sequels, since audiences couldn't seem to get enough of these cinematic monsters. Moviegoers also lined up to see kids who were savages, Lord of the Flies, hucksters, Paper Moon, prostitutes, Taxi Driver, emotional misfits, Ordinary People, spoiled brats, Willy Wonka, and barriers to adult self-discovery, Kramer versus Kramer. Meanwhile, yeah, I know, me too. Meanwhile, Hollywood made far fewer films for children. The proportion of G-rated films fell from 41% to just 13%, and the new R-rated films soon became Hollywood's most profitable. Disney laid off cartoonists for the only time in its history, up until that point. I never realized this until I read this book about how, and I've talked about like the Disney dark era of the 70s and how, people would lose their minds if they saw what Disney put out for us compared to our parents and our younger siblings and kids. But it was dark, and like there was not a lot of child focused stuff from the mid 60s to the mid 80s, really, which was what we're talking about here, 64 to 84. It wasn't until 84 when the rules, Reagan changed the rules and all the cartoons and all that stuff really launched and took off. Not that there weren't Saturday morning cartoons in the 70s, but you know what I mean. It changed dramatically.
And because they started marketing to us. That's what changed. When Reagan changed the rules for Saturday morning cartoons, they quickly became nothing more than 30-minute cartoons or 30-minute commercials for toys.
Toy commercials.
Every single popular Saturday morning or cartoon show from the 80s has a toy line.
Yes.
Every damn one of them.
Yes.
Not saying there's anything wrong with that. Don't get me wrong.
That was just how they did it.
A lot of those.
Yeah.
But that's how the paradigm shifted. The paradigm shifted because in the 70s we had zero buying power because we were children. And in the 80s we started to have buying power because as kids we did start we started having jobs. Or we did stuff like, you know, I was hustling to make money, you know.
Right.
I didn't have
and the attitude changed. The attitude changed towards kids as well in the mid 80s, because that was the third turning. The second to the third was in the mid 80s, and so the attitude towards kids, we were identified as a money. You know, we had money to spend in a way.
Money to spend, yeah. We were valid. We actually finally had income, discretionary income to spend, and they realized that we were something to be marketed to, and they figured out exactly what we wanted and what the formula was, and we bought in lock, stock, and barrel.
Yes, we did. And if we weren't making our own money, we knew how to beg our parents for whatever,
exactly.
you
know. I'm just thinking now, like even before I had a job, I was always trying to figure out how to make money. And I had an allowance, but my grandparents gave me an allowance every month. Yep. But I also I sold zines. Like I was constantly I was trying to buy I would buy comic books and sell them at a higher value when they went up in money.
We're a very entrepreneurial generation. We're a very go-getter type of a generation. That's very embedded in us.
I learned from my grandfather. I was always trying to find something that I could buy and resell for more money for some reason.
Yeah.
Even before eBay.
Yeah, I would do little things like, lemonade stands and stuff like that, and to make money. But I was working by 14. Like I was so ready to get a job and make my own money. So
my dad wouldn't let me work. He would not let me work. No. Once my dad passed away when I was 15, the next summer my mom was like, "You're getting a job." Actually, no, it was that summer. Sorry, my dad passed away, and my mom, was like, "You're getting a job within a week."
Oh, wow. Did you want one? Were you ready to go to work, or were you like, I'm not?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I was, what else was I going to do? Sit around all summer and mope that my dad had just died? I mean, I'd rather go work and make money and just try to move on.
Busy. So. Yeah. It
worked.
Makes sense.
I worked all summer. I made lots of money, stayed out of my mom's hair. She had her own things to go through, and not just having lost her husband. So, not having to worry about me, I think was probably, was a good thing for her.
Yeah, definitely.
She knew where I was, knew I wasn't getting in trouble, and she knew I was making money and learning valuable life skills.
Exactly. Allowances, you really don't hear about them now.
No, I never gave my kid an allowance. So, it's hard. It's hard to think about.
Thank you for bringing this up, Carrick. Took CPR class at the hospital at 12 and babysat like crazy. Probably why I don't have kids. I was babysitting. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
You guys,
I was babysitting at 11, 12 years old. Babysitter's Club was my shit. That was those books and that TV show. I was in. Throughout the 13ers' childhood era, the adult media battered their collective reputation, and over time began to portray this generation as having absorbed the negative message. were rotten to the core, sang the preteen Thug Boys and Bugsy Malone.
By the way,
We're the very worst. We're the very worst. Each of us contemptible, criticized, and cursed. As the 1970s gave way to the 1980s, teenagers began repeating this line. As when one student mockingly tells his friends in River's Edge, "You young people are a disgrace to all living things, to plants even. You shouldn't even be seen in the same room as a cactus." Mm-hmm. America's new consciousness celebrated childhood as an ideal, but it neglected childhood as an actual living experience. The nation moved from what Leslie Fielder called a 1950s era cult of the child to what Landon Jones called a 1970 era's cult of the adult. With older GIs still smarting from attacks by their own kids, with the silent now reconsidering their high era family choices, and with fertile boomers taking voyages to the interior, the very image of more children provoked widespread anxiety. Parents were shunned if they tried to bring small children into restaurants or theaters. Many rental apartments started banning children. The Ascendant Zero population growth movement declared each extra child to be pollution, a burden on scarce resources. That's awful.
I mean, I remember it being quite that bad, but I also don't. I remember there was a lot of discussion about overpopulation, and the zero population growth movement was not all that.
Yeah,
it didn't. I think that paragraph is tending towards more hyperbole. I'm not saying it didn't exist, right? But I think they're overstating for effect.
Yeah, it could be. Well, I mean, that was definitely on the extreme of the of the movement. That was the extremes of the me generation, was this, I mean, you still have these things today, the anti-humanists or whatever it is that, but it's a very extreme thing. It's a little hyperbolic. I can see what you're saying there. That's fair enough. However, we definitely went from the cult of the kid to the cult of the adult.
100%.
That definitely was definitely, and I remember, talks about bringing small children into restaurants and theaters, and where's the appropriate place for children to be, and that kind of a thing. So
we didn't have third spaces for children like there are now too. There weren't.
Right.
You didn't have private businesses that all they do is cater towards kids. The private. I'm talking your private playgrounds, your private, mommy and me's.
They started popping up in the 80s. The skating rinks and the skating rinks.
You wanted to get rid of your kids, you had to put them in day camp.
Right. or send them to the arcade. Here's $10. Go to the arcade.
Oh my God.
But they were starting to pop up.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Sacrificing one's own career or conjugal happiness for the sake of the kids became passé, even by the logic of the era, bad for kids themselves. This is making me angry. A flurry of popular books chronicled the resentment, despair, and physical discomfort women now said they endured when bearing and raising 13er children. As the cost of raising a child became a hot topic, adults ranked autos ahead of children as necessary for the good life. The abortion rate skyrocketed. By the late 1970s, would-be mothers aborted 1 fetus in 3. So 30% of Gen X was aborted. In Ourselves and Our Children, a committee of silent authors ranked considering yourself ahead of benefiting our children as a principle of sound parenting. Parental guides became emphasizing why to-dos over what to-dos. The popular parental effectiveness training urged adults to teach small tots about consequences rather than about right and wrong. As Marie Wynn noted, an early childhood determinism enabled parents to assume their kids could cope with later trauma, given how carefully they'd been tended as tots. Thus reassured, awakening-era parents spent 40% less of their time on child raising than parents had spent in the high. Holy crap.
And I felt like my parents did actually pay as much attention as they could, but even still, it paled in comparison to the hovering that I watched my millennial cousins go through.
Right.
It was crazy the amount of energy that was spent so clearly on appearances and keeping up.
Yeah.
Rather than actually giving a crap about the kids' needs.
Right. Or
because
putting them
that's the real crime, I think. Not to cut you off, but I think that's the real crime. Isn't that they spent all that time and energy on their children? That's what should happen. No, it's that they didn't do it with a genuine with any genuine care as to what the children actually needed out of them.
Right.
And it was
I get what you're saying. It was more about making my life easier or me doing what I wanted to do as a parent instead of like before all this, or when they were trying to keep their kids active and doing things, but it wasn't necessarily for their best interest. It was because their parents wanted, I guess, maybe the time away from them or their own time or whatever. I don't know. Like before, like when we were younger, the parents would just be like, leave and don't come back till the street lights come on.
Right.
And that was it. But then once I got a little bit older, there became more structured activities, after school music programs, organized sports leagues, things that started really taking up kids' time, more organized kid activities. But it wasn't necessarily because they wanted to be doing them or they wanted to be those. It was just, I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, but it was just a change in how kids' time was spent and how, and how parents approached it too, because, eventually they went from just, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are to maybe we should give them something to do or try to be involved in some of this stuff. But yeah, it was just a different time. And now, they're tracking kids on apps and the kids aren't leaving. Yeah, that's a good one, Rachel. Parents dropped us off at those activities. Now they stay. Yeah. That's a good one. The Awakening's casual sex, non-traditional families, and mind-altering drugs left a large imprint on this child generation, an imprint reflected in much of today's 13er music and prose. In the late 1960s, sings Susan Warner, there were some people smoking weed, there were some others doing speed, but I was way big into raisins at the time. I remember wallpapering my younger brother's room with Playboy centerfolds, recalls Adrian Jenick. I remember bongs and pipes and art and music among my parents' greatest artifacts, and my mother's vibrator and reading my father's penthouse forums. That is a nightmare. As novelist Ian Williams writes, we could play truth or dare with our parents' sex lives if we wanted to. By the late 1970s, once 13ers began practicing what they had learned, adults grew accustomed to seeing kids dress and talk as knowingly as Brooke Shields in ads or Jodie Foster in film.
Yeah.
As the media standard for the typical American family changed from my 3 sons to my 2 dads, divorce struck 13ers harder than any other child generation in U.S. history. Where boomers had once been worth the parental sacrifice of prolonging an unhappy marriage, 13ers were not. At the end of the high, half of all adult women believed that parents in bad marriages should stay together for the sake of the children. By the end of the Awakening, only 1 in 5 thought so. Best-selling youth books like It's Not the End of the World tried to show that parental divorce wasn't so bad, but left children with the impression that any family could burst apart at any time. In The Nurturing Father, Journey Toward the Complete Man, Kyle Pruitt promised that family dissolution freed parent and child to have better and less constricted time together. By 1980, just 56% of all 13er children lived with 2 once-married parents. And today, this generation's novels and screenplays, talking about the 90s, bristle with hostile references to parents who didn't tough it out. Polls have since shown 13ers far more inclined than older Americans to believe current divorce laws are too lax. In homes, schools, and courtrooms, America's style of child nurture completed a 2-decade transition from Father Knows Best to Bill Cosby's fatherhood. Was I making a mistake now? If so, it would just be mistake number 9,763. If anything has changed in the last generation, Ellen Goodman later admitted, it was the erosion of confidence among openly uncertain mothers and fathers. Alban Poussaint noted the dominant media image of parents as pals who were always understanding. They never get very angry. There are no boundaries or limits set. Parents are shown as bungling, not in charge, floundering as much as the children.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
Yeah.
I would say that's accurate. By the 80s, parents were not were saying, we're just as, we're not perfect. We don't know what we're doing.
Right.
And parenthood is hard. That was like, hey, parenthood is hard.
Yeah. Sorry, parenthood is hard.
Sorry, parenting is hard. Yes, it's hard. That's why if you don't want to do it, don't do it. It's fine
right.
with me. Exactly. I wanted to be a parent. I don't mind. Do I complain about being a parent? Of course I do, because that's what we're allowed to do. But you know what? It's okay. I'm also okay with people who don't have kids. That's awesome. Don't have kids. If you don't want to be, it's not for everybody. It's
no, it's not. It is definitely not. Parents who admit that they are many-dimensioned, imperfect human beings, reassured ourselves and our children, are able to give children a more realistic picture of what being a person is all about. Right. At best, the new model parents were, like Cosby's Cliff Huxtable, gentle and communicative. At worst, they undermined trust and expressed ambivalence where children sought guidance. Like father and son in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, adults became more childlike and children more adult-like. That really hit. I think we see that a lot today as well. This anti-authoritarian nurture fit the iconoclastic mood of the awakening. Older generations went out of their way to tell children, in the words of Mads Al Feldstein, that there's a lot of garbage out in the world and you've got to be aware of it. Silent parents recalling their own closeted crisis-era childhood were especially eager to expose their kids to everything. Judy Blume exhorted parents to expose their children to every possible human catastrophe. They live in the same world we do, she insisted. She and other silent authors launched a new realism bookshelf for children, targeting subjects like abortion, adolescent cohabitation, child abuse, family friend, rapist, and suicide that prior child generations had never encountered. They are probably, I'm assuming that the guy who created the ABC after school specials were probably in this generation as well.
One would imagine,
Yeah.
No, Judy Blume, and there's some other authors, but mostly Judy Blume. Let's come on and face it. I mean, there wasn't shit like that for our parents. They didn't have that kind of realistic.
No.
They couldn't read a book like a Judy Blume book and really see themselves.
No.
And the beautiful thing about Judy Blume is she started, you could start. I started reading Judy Blume books when I was like 7 or 8 because she had those Fudge books and Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing and the other ones that are just so cute and adorable. And then you get to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Because I read that. Are you kidding? You had to.
I need to write the sequel to that for menopause.
You know what was going on with my period. I also read all the Little House books, by the way.
Heck yeah!
In junior high.
My books were the Little House books and the Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys books.
Yeah. But I also went through a phase like right before junior high where I read all the Oz books too.
Oh yes. Same. I love
my library had a bunch of them, and they were like the old ones that were still like printed while Frank Baum was alive.
Hey, those might have been worth something. They'd have been kept.
Sure they were.
You are right, Edward. 100%.
Speaking of which, look at this. Oh, you can't see it.
Can't see it.
I'll turn off my.
What you got?
Hang on, I gotta turn off.
If you put it up in front of your face, it might work instead of better. Okay, I can see it, but there we go. Nice.
It's a flip book.
Oh, looky there. That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome?
That's fantastic. I love that.
Companion library. Oh, there's even an old. Somebody put their book plate in it.
Oh, are those new printings or is that something older?
No, this is 1968.
Ah, so cool.
I don't even remember where I picked it up from. I think I might have got it from one of those free libraries, you know?
That's awesome.
There's a lot of those cool little free libraries around town, and I, you know, because I drive a lot, and I always stop and see, and I always also keep books in my car to give to the
get back. Yep, totally.
I always have books.
That's the way to do it. That's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so go forward. If I do see the Generations books, I always snag them too.
Yeah,
and you know, then I can give them to people.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love free libraries. I should have.
Yeah, reading in general, just it's really gone downhill as far as leisure time activity.
Put my glasses on just so I can. Wow, now I can see.
You old man. The events of the
I graduated from college 20 years ago this week.
Well, congratulations on your 20th anniversary.
35. I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was a common thing in, not a super common thing, but it happened quite more than you would think with our generation. Going back in getting a degree later on. The events of the awakening reinforced the impression that grown-ups were neither powerful nor virtuous. To the child's eye, adults were simply not in control, either of their own personal lives or, during the years of Vietnam, Watergate, and gas lines, of the larger world. Instead of preventing danger or teaching by example, adults were more apt to hand out self-care guides that told kids about everything that might happen and how to handle it on their own. As Neil Postman observed in The Disappearance of Childhood, 13-year children were given answers to questions they never asked. It was an era in which everyone and everything had to be liberated, whether it was good for them or not. In Escape from Childhood, John Holt urged freeing children from the vice of adult oppression, while Hillary Clinton published articles on children's rights. Nowhere were 13-year children liberated more than in awakening-era schools, where high era education now stood accused of having dehumanized little boomers. Each child should be left to himself without adult suggestion of any kind, urged open education advocate A.S. Neal, who suggested that facts and rules and grades and walls be replaced with tools and clay and sports and theater and paint and freedom. Reformers tried to boost child self-esteem through person-centered education that stressed feelings over reason, empirical experience over logical deduction. Rather than ask students to evaluate a book's universal quality or message, teachers began probing students about how a reading assignment made them feel. Grammar was downplayed, phonics frowned on, and arithmetic decimals replaced by the relativistic parameters of new math. This all happened after I was in school in my area.
Yep, me too.
I learned phonics. I did not learn new math. I remember it being discussed when I was later in my schooling, like in the high school years, but we never had new math.
I think some of this is actually split up. I think the first part referred more to the earlier education, because I feel like my early years, anecdotally, my early years were spent in very alternative education.
Right. Yeah, you had a bit of a different experience than
I went to the Ocean Beach free school.
Yeah. And I went to private school, like religious private schools. So we both have, when it comes to our early education, very different experiences than the traditional public school education. But then
as I moved to regular public school in the LA Unified, it was a very traditional, 70s era, regular math, regular science, and all that, until I tested into the gifted program, which then was a little bit more back to the feelings and nurturing environment that I really enjoyed pre regular school. And I didn't go to kindergarten either. I went straight to first grade.
Oh, you did? I did kindergarten.
No, I went straight to first grade from my two previous, experiences were the UCLA Child Care Center and the Ocean Beach Free School. So then I went to first grade. Yeah. Gotcha. And I do feel like the rest of that did not come into play until after I was already out of school in the 90s. I don't feel like, I felt like grammar, phonics, math was the same old math.
Yeah.
Textbooks were not emphasizing sensitivity and accessibility.
Yeah,
and
we were still.
I don't believe that most of this stuff happened towards the bottom of the paragraph, happened until the millennials.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think one thing to take into consideration is that education is a very regional and local thing. It wasn't until 1979 where we had the Department of Education, but even then, like the standards monolithic testing and like it was still very
for a while.
Yeah, it took a good decade and a half before.
It wasn't until No Child Left Behind, really.
That's which was the early 2000s. So there was a lot of change in the 80s and 90s when it came to education, but because it was so regional and localized, that what was happening in California wasn't necessarily happening in Missouri or New York or Florida or Texas or wherever. So
it's I'm saying, like California, like we had both the nurturing and freedom kind that was always there. But then we still also had very, very, stringent traditional schools.
Yeah.
And that was the majority.
Yeah. And I agree with Rachel. I think most of my textbooks were from the Boomer era as well. And we also still had the old, like, those old educational films from like the film 60s strips. And which I loved.
And Dittos. Remember Dittos?
Dittos.
Did you ever get Dittos? You had photocopies?
Mimeographs? Oh, mimeographs. Okay. Yeah, we didn't call it. Yeah. Too. That was like right at the very beginning of my school, but we didn't.
I had Dittos up until junior high.
Nice.
I still remember that.
Yeah. See, I had a different, since I went to private school, when I was in elementary school, we had a different curriculum where we had different types. It wasn't that kind of a system where we would have gotten something like that from the teacher. We had our own little personal notebooks and workbooks, and they didn't have like mass copy testing for everybody in the school that I was at. You had your kind of your own path. So, but anyways, it was a little bit different, but there was some things that we had that was also very similar. Yeah. I've filled out my share of Scantrons and Blue Books and had my T183 calculator or whatever, my graphing calculator that
spell boobs.
Yes, exactly.
You won't be carrying a calculator around in your pocket all the time.
No, you won't. You're not going to have you're not going to have a calculator.
A computer, okay? I'll have all of the man's repository of knowledge in
right. I'll have the entire Encyclopedia Britannica in my pocket,
along with every access to every television, song, movie ever made.
Right? Who knew?
I did.
Yeah. As the awakening progressed, the percentage of high school graduates who described themselves as straight A students nearly tripled. Back in the high, being a good adult had meant staying married and providing children with a wholesome culture and supportive community. Now it meant festooning the child's world with self-esteem, smiley buttons, while the fundamentals and media image of a child's life grew more troubled by the year. Increasing numbers of children were born to unmarried teen mothers, while underfunded foster home systems buckled in state after state, and media began referring to latchkey, abandoned, runaway, and throwaway kids. In the middle 1970s, the distinction of occupying America's most poverty-prone age bracket passed directly from the elder lost to the child 13th, without ever touching the 3 generations in between. By the late 1970s, the child suicide rate broke the lost previous turn of the century record. Through the awakening, the homicide rate for infants and small children rose by half, and the number of reported cases of child abuse jumped 4-fold. The Awakening's new hostility to power, authority, and secrecy had one meaning for 45-year-olds seeking a nuanced view of a complicating world, but quite another for 10-year-olds trying to build dreams. For the silent, taught to think big as crisis-era children, thinking small was a midlife tonic. But never having had their own chance to think big, pre-adolescent 13ers heard a new message. America's best days were over. Like the child of divorce writ large, this generation wondered if it was only a coincidence that they came along at just the moment in history when older people started complaining that everything in America was falling to pieces.
Yeah, let's not discount that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how we grew up. America's falling apart.
Yep. Yeah, we definitely need to have some conversations with Gen Zers. Be like, we know where you're coming from, kids. Believe me. Ask today's young adults how they were raised, and many will ask many 13ers how they were raised, and many will tell you that they raised themselves, that they made their own meals, washed their own clothes, decided for themselves whether to do homework or make money after school, and chose which parent to spend time with on weekends or side with in court. They grew up less as members of family teams looking forward to joining adult teams than as free agents looking forward to dealing and maneuvering their way through life's endless options. In their childhood memory, the individual always trumped the group. During the consciousness revolution, as older generations stripped away the barriers that had previously sheltered childhood, 13ers were denied a positive vision of the future, denied indeed any reassurance that their nation had any collective future at all. Boom.
Yikes, mic drop.
There you have it, and there you are. That's our generation during the second turning. Did this resonate with you guys in the chat? Let me know what you thought about this chapter. I'm going to be right back. I got to take a potty break. Give me like 2 seconds. I'll be right back, and we'll finish out the night. Sound good? If you want to talk with everybody or whatever, I'll be right back.
Okay, so I got a weird Jeopardy card deck, and I'm going to pick a Jeopardy trivia question here. We'll go with find a good category. Oh wait, I think that's the pile that I don't. Can't find any good card for you. Oh well. So vamping. I got a vamp. Talking about my generation. Let's talk about that generation. That's our generation. Generation X. I never really liked that. Did you guys like that? Generation X?
Okay.
I never cared for it.
Whew.
Well, there's the good stack of cards.
All right. Sorry about that, everyone.
200. Mitch Hedberg. I tried to walk into this Go Bullseye store, but I missed.
I love Mitch Hedberg so much. We lost him way too soon.
We sure did. He was genius. My other favorite joke of his is I went and bought a donut. He said, "Do you want a receipt for that?" No. It's just a donut. We don't need to involve ink and paper.
Oh my God, that's so funny. He had one joke about Subway and ducks. I can't remember what it was, but it was so funny. Oh.
Him and Bill Hicks, way too young, and Sammy.
Yes. Let's see.
Now it feels like the comedians they're not. They're just doing stupid things.
Here's the Mitch joke. Once I saw a duck walking down the street, so I went into Subway and ordered 2 pieces of bread. And they informed me that they could not do that. Like there was some special rule at Subway that 2 pieces of bread weren't allowed to touch. So the woman asked me what I wanted on this sandwich, and I said, I do not care. It is for a duck. And she was like, oh, then it's free. I was not aware that ducks eat free at Subway. It gives me it's like give me a chicken fajita sub, but don't worry about ringing it up. It's for a duck. So I don't know why it's always been in my head, but just Subway duck. Yeah. Don't worry about ringing it up. It's for a duck.
It's for a duck. Okay. I'll have a Philly steak sandwich. Great. It's for a duck.
It's for a duck. That's a good point. And I think this is probably pretty true for most American generations in the modern era. You can't divorce what happened during that time sociologically with what happened happening politically at the same time. And I would agree with you on that. Yeah. Definitely even more so in the second turning, with all of the unrest during the 60s and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. Okay. Psychology of Zennials. I know I skipped over the core, but it is what it is. If you really, really want to find the one about the core, I can do that one too. But we're going to Zennials.
It's okay. We get skipped over all the time.
I know.
We're just the
Yep.
We're the skipped over.
You're the forgotten,
generation of people who remember both rotary phones and the first iPhone launch, and psychologists can't quite figure out where to put them. If you were born between 1976 and 1985, you're on the tail end of Gen X, but you're hardly a millennial, even though everyone keeps trying to shove you into one of those boxes. You're what researchers started calling a Zennial around 2014. And some sociologists have even labeled this group a microgeneration because the window is so specific. What happened during that specific slice of history created something that's genuinely worth examining. So today, we're going to explore what makes them interesting from a psychological perspective. From the start, you spent...
I'm interested to find out how different this is from the older Gen X video that they did.
I mean, if you're going to start calling Zennials microgenerations, then you just got to basically split each cohort into 3 microgenerations. It's just another name for a cohort. There's no such thing as a micro generation.
I agree. It's a cohort, and it's also this one's a unique one, just like Jones, because it bridges 2 generations.
Yeah.
That's what to me makes the bridges different than the core. I think that might be where the difference is between, someone my age versus someone your age. The fact that we're only 7 years apart or 6 years apart, but in some ways we're so much the same, and in some ways we are very, very different from that, just because of that 6 years.
Yep.
So yeah. My college dorm room came with a rotary phone and an internet Ethernet connection.
Wow.
Amazing.
It's like, I have a T1 line and Morse code. Wow.
That's good.
I still have an ice box, but I've got a microwave oven. Right.
I feel like that should go on a t-shirt. My college dorm room came with the rotary phone and an internet Ethernet collection. So it's got to be, that's merch worthy.
It's pretty funny.
It is.
Your childhood in an analog world where boredom was just something you sat with, where you had to actually remember phone numbers, and not to mention the dread if you missed your favorite TV show, it was just gone. Yet one day, right as you were moving into adulthood, the entire world went digital, not gradually, suddenly. The timing of this shift had consequences that are still playing out. Most generations grow up entirely in one technology paradigm or other. Zennials, however, went through both of these life-defining experiences during the years when you were still discovering yourself. Your late teens looked very different to your 20s, and the disparity in age was far wider than most generations experience. Consider the implications of this on your daily life. Remember how much of your teens were spent passing physical notes in class, or having conversations that disappeared into thin air, or making plans where you weren't able to text running late or where are you? You just showed up and hoped your friends would be there. That required a completely different kind of trust and commitment than what exists now.
That's very interesting. And it's true.
Yeah.
And and I'm making this video about 90s Gen X movies, and I'm going year by year, and it's fascinating how different 1991 Gen X movies, 1992 Gen X movies look to 1998 or 99 Gen X movies. Like it's fascinating. It goes from, no internet, no cell phones, none of that until, and then we get the first one with Clueless. Cher's got her cell phones, which was completely for the rich kids, and then it changes into, got more online stuff with American Pie towards the end of the decade. But
by 99, you had the Matrix and the telephones.
Yep. Yep. It's crazy.
Matrix was 99. Remember that.
Yeah. Oh, it's wild.
Mm-hmm.
But then you were in your 20s and saw everyone get cell phones. You registered with Friendster, next MySpace, then Facebook. Prior to social media, most people only had 3 different ways to contact someone, either their home or work phone or just by showing up at their house. Then suddenly you have 17 different messaging apps, and you simply figured it out. During your formative years, you experienced both worlds. According to research on brain development, the prefrontal cortex, the region that mediates our ability to adapt to new situations and learn complex skills, is still maturing until roughly the age of 25. A study published in Nature Neuroscience found that this region matures well into the 20s. This means that Xennials were still in this high plasticity window when the technological landscape went through a complete overhaul. You were young enough that picking up new technology felt natural, but old enough to remember what came just before it. Due to being adults when technology first appeared, Gen Xers can sometimes be a bit skeptical of technology. Millennials, particularly the younger ones, have no real memory of life without the internet. If you're a Xennial, though, you've experienced both things, which has created a kind of bilingualism that is pretty rare.
Yeah, baby. Special. What up, B-Boy DK1974? How's it going?
See, I was always an early adopter, though, of technology. I always wanted the latest and greatest, and technology never scared me. So as a core Gen Xer, I've never been afraid of technology, and even today,
I would say 70, and I would say this is where you're right about the difference in the parts of the generations, because I think 70s babies are right where with you on that, but I think 60s babies would be a little bit different.
Definitely.
Would be a little bit more apprehensive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You can have a face-to-face conversation without checking your phone every 30 seconds, but you also don't get anxious about learning new software. You remember what it felt like to be genuinely unreachable for hours at a time.
I gotta be honest, I still get a little nervous about learning new software, though. I still feel a little intimidated. Trying to teach myself DaVinci Resolve was a trip. Hey, Dad, can you let Sadie in, please? Sorry.
I mean, I'm used to pirating software and never having manuals. So
which is an experience.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to play. I gotta let my dog in. I'm gonna push play. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
It's a lot of younger people simply don't have, but you're also not intimidated by technology the way some older generations are. And this shows up in ways you might not even notice, like you probably have a different relationship with privacy than other generations. You grew up in a world where your embarrassing moments just faded into memory instead of living forever on social media. That 7th grade haircut, that breakup, that drunk night at a party, there's no photo evidence. It just exists in the stories people tell.
Thank God. Thank God. That's one thing I said, was talking about with Patrick the other night, was that was the best part of being a Gen X, is that there's no evidence.
Maybe a Polaroid or two.
Yeah. Just some stories.
A couple of Polaroids.
Yep. I still do too.
This creates a fundamentally different relationship with your past. Your memories could evolve, could become stories, could change shape over time the way human memory naturally works. You weren't trapped by documentation. Research on autobiographical memory suggests that the way we store and recall personal experiences is actually quite fluid. Our brains are designed to edit memories, keep what matters, and let the rest fade. When everything is permanently documented and searchable, that natural process gets complicated in ways we're still trying to understand. But here's where things get messy. You also entered the job market right around the 2008 financial crisis, which means a lot of you experienced significant economic instability during the exact years when you were supposed to be establishing your careers.
Yeah, it came out that happened right when I was about 30. So I had been in my first few years of the workforce were actually really good. But then shit went crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
I've been in the workforce in 2008.
Yeah. I mean, I entered the workforce technically in 91 as a teenager, but yeah, I was definitely had been established before the financial crisis. That was definitely for the younger Zennials, the early 80s babies.
That timing matters more than people realize. Research on economic hardship shows that financial trauma during this life stage can have lasting psychological effects. People who experience job loss or financial instability during this life stage often carry those experiences forward.
I will say, though, that I did graduate right when the dot-com bubble burst. So that definitely affected things, at least for a little while, you know.
Even after their situations improve, it shapes how you think about money, security, and risk in ways that don't easily go away. So you've got this generation that learned to adapt to massive technological change, but also got economically burned right when you were trying to build stability.
Yeah, I know it's AI, and I even said before I played these videos that, I was hesitant about it, but I thought they were so well done as far as what they said that I'm allowing it for this little bit. But this won't be a normal thing. This will not be a regular thing on the channel. I try to keep it as AI free as possible, but this is book club, so we do things a little bit different during book club.
You can navigate change because you had to.
Say that again.
And we do talk about book club, so tell your friends.
Yes, we do talk about it. The first rule of book club is we talk about book club. Hey, there's a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Economically burned right when you were trying to build stability. You can navigate change because you had to, but you might also have this underlying current of what if it all falls apart again running through your decision making. And nobody really talks about this combination. The cultural
I have this now. I get nervous to invest in anything because I'm like, is it even going to be like, is it just going to collapse in 5 years or 10 years or 2 years or next year? Like, I get really nervous to invest or, to put my money in the stock market or in funds or whatever because of this. Like, I get so nervous because it just seems like every time I try, something crazy happens and it crashes.
Conversation about generations tends to pit Gen X against millennials, as if everyone born after 1965 and before 2000 is basically the same. But the specific years you were born in, especially during periods of rapid change, create distinct experiences that don't fit into those broad categories. Zennials deal with a paradox that's honestly pretty unusual. You have the self-reliance and skepticism of Gen X because you grew up before helicopter parenting became standard. Your parents probably didn't know where you were for hours at a time, and that was just normal. You learned to solve problems on your own, to entertain yourself, to deal with boredom and frustration without immediate adult intervention. However, you also reached adulthood during the early days of the internet, when technology was still thought to connect everyone and solve everything, before we all realized that it might be actually making some things more complicated. It is odd to find yourself there, independent and cooperative, doubtful yet optimistic. Did
we get knocked off? Okay. Oh, we said, and it's gone. I was just like, oh no, I was like, surely this isn't. Yeah. Oh, David or Dadmid, $10. Thank you. Born in 1968, saw Luke learn about his father in the theater. When I was 12, I was given the choice of which parent to live with, mom or dad. Choose, boy. Thanks for the parenting, mom and dad.
Wow. I also saw Luke in the theater make his choice. I didn't have to choose mom or dad. That was God chose for me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That movie. Well, let's see. What learning about his father? That was
As Empire.
Empire was 1980, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was still a little bitty kid. Thank you for the $10. Mistakenly hit like on one of these videos like a boomer. My feed was clogged. I'm very careful about what I like.
I watched Tiffany or Tabitha Takes Over and Gordon Ramsay this week, and now my feed is nothing but that. But I'm not complaining because I'm enjoying them. So
right.
I can only watch reality shows that are 10 years old.
Right. Same way. I don't think I watch anything that's made currently. Like there's a couple of YouTubers that I'll watch, but like as far as like anything fiction or I don't hardly watch anything anymore. Thank you so much for the $10. I really, really appreciate that. Yay. Jesse says, when the internet first started, I was in college. The class registration could be done online as an option. Me too.
Wow.
My second year there, I was like, I got to go on the net. That happened to me my junior or senior year. Online was an option, but I always just went and did it in person. Because I just didn't trust it. And we got our email, we got our KU.edu email addresses. My junior year, I believe, 98. So, yep, good one. Oh, that's fun. It's crazy to think about.
In 97, my last semester at community college in San Diego, I think we were still registering via a phone number. You'd call in and punch in the number of the class that you wanted. When I went back to community college in 2002, we was internet.
Everything's online.
Cool, man. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
We also got all of our college acceptance letters or rejection letters in the mail. Like, you either got a big envelope or a small envelope to get and then you like your test, your SAT and ACT test scores all came paper in the mail. There was no online anything. So the hardest part for me about not having the internet at like when I was in high school going into college was or not the internet that we know, is that I was trying to find scholarships for college, and it was incredibly difficult to find scholarship and grant programs pre-internet. Like there was like a book that you could go buy that was like $50, that had like the list of all like these different scholarships you could get or grants.
And it was one of those books you couldn't get from the library because because the older versions wouldn't be accurate.
Right.
And they couldn't keep the brand new one in the library.
Yeah. Yep.
I hear you.
That was so hard. That was definitely difficult. I don't know. That just popped into my head.
About like libraries, you remember learning the Dewey Decimal System.
Dewey Decimal, going through those card catalogs.
And it's like, I guess they still. I mean, obviously they still have the systems, but
it's all online.
The last time I used a card catalog.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing I remember with the card catalog is all the cards flying out at the beginning of Ghostbusters.
Nice.
Although I love cards. I mean, I'd love to have one because they make great display pieces and drawer cabinets.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I love stuff like that. Yeah. I was thinking about my dad when I was younger. He owned a vending business for chips. It was a company called Tom's, and they sold chips and candy and all that stuff.
Yeah. I had Tom's chips.
Yeah, you had Tom's. Okay. I was thinking about in kind of in this vein of I was thinking about, because online you can find old vending machines. I was thinking about buying him one for the kitchen and putting all of his snacks and stuff in it, like where you could just use it without a quarter or without money.
You know what they turn? I see a lot of, they turn old cigarette vending machines into art vending machines, where like instead of a pack of cigarettes, you get like a little box that has a little piece of original art or a button or something like that. There's a bunch of them around town. I always get one when I see it too.
That's fun.
Because I remember getting smokes from my dad through the cigarette machine.
Yeah. We still had a cigarette machine in a bar here until it might still be there, but it was in recent years. But yeah, it might still be there. I should go over there and look.
You could get a nice old, they do. One of the things I definitely like watching on YouTube is like restoration videos, and you'd be surprised at all sorts of weird stuff that you could get super cheap, and then
I know
watch and restore it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'd like to do if I ever can get to the point where I can build a website for my own website, for my own hosting. I'd like to have like a little buy, sell, trade of stuff like that. You can
get your own, you can now get your own red box,
Yeah.
I've seen people do it. They get them and they're like, now I'm going to put all my whole video collection in here and loan it out to people using it. It's fantastic, right?
I love that so much. I love it so much.
This one guy took the Kodak photo machine that used to be in the old, like a Thrifty or CVS or whatever. You go in and you pre everybody had a printer and print stuff off of your card or whatever.
Right.
I love those things too. Anyway,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I remember. Yes, powder coating is amazing. I love watching them take like old tin toys from the 20s and 30s and like stripping all of the rust and crap off of it, and then they throw the powder coat on it and bake it. It just comes out looking brand new, and you're like, wow! Especially when it's candy apple red. You're like, okay, you show your age, man. You're definitely 55. You're getting excited over that shit.
Yep, exactly. That's okay though. I remember those big fat course catalogs too. They were big. They looked like big old phone books. They were so huge. Everything I got was on paper. Like they were switching over to the digital stuff towards the end of my college years. I graduated in 2000, but everything was on paper if we wanted it to be. Online and computer stuff was an option, but it wasn't the standard. And Jesse, same here. When I was talking about my car hop job earlier where I made $1 an hour, that was cash. I didn't get like a paycheck or anything. So, you work 20 hours, you get $20 and then you keep your tips. That was my deal too. All right, let's finish this out.
But analog. What seems to define Zennials is this ability to hold contradictions without it feeling weird. You remember the before and the after, which means you're able to see what was gained and what was lost. Perhaps you're not as nostalgic for the past in the same way Gen X might be, since you genuinely appreciate modern conveniences too. However, unlike many of the younger generations, you still recognize what we gave up. You lost the ability to be truly alone with your thoughts without effort. You lost the patience that comes from waiting. You lost a certain kind of presence that existed when there wasn't always something else competing for your attention.
I think this is the kind of stuff that we truly miss as people our age. As much as I love the pop culture and all the stuff from our childhood, it's this kind of a thing. Just those little parts of life that just aren't there anymore because of technology. And yes, a lot of it's good, but some of it kind of sucks. Just, the ability just to be bored and wait for something or, meet somebody up in person and make an appointment like that instead of, doing everything online or with your phone. So I get angry when the supermarkets change their product's location. Me too. Nothing worse than a remodel or a move products around thing. It's funny the stuff that gets you riled up when you get older.
But you gained connection, information, and possibilities your younger self couldn't have imagined. If you're a Zennial, you probably feel like you don't quite fit in anywhere. Too young for some things and too old for others, caught between two worlds. It's not a fault. That's actually the defining feature of your generation's experience. In a world that keeps changing faster than anyone can predict, having lived through one massive transition might be one of the most valuable things you could have learned. You've adapted to a transitional lifestyle. The environment in which you were raised doesn't necessarily have to be the one in which you live forever. The Zennial experience is worth knowing about because of that, more than anything. Not because you're special in some superior way, but because you lived through a specific moment in history that taught you something the rest of us are still trying to figure out: how to adapt without losing yourself in the process. If this resonated with you, I'd really appreciate.
I think because you were an earlier adapter of technology compared to others in our generation, I think that you fit a little more with the Zennials than you might want to admit.
Oh, I don't really have an issue with fitting
Right.
in with Zennial. Yeah, I mean, I was working on the internet before it was the internet.
Yeah.
We were playing around on the old ARPANET deck down in San Diego back in the 80s.
You were in a good spot for all that. You know,
yeah.
I mean, that was, you were out where the students were out there doing their thing in California, and the clubs and that was a good place for.
My alma mater is one of the 2 points of the founding of the internet.
Wow. Was Al Gore there? I'm kidding.
Was who born there? Al? Yeah, right. No, but one of the two of the very first two computers to hook up together, one was at UCLA and the other was at Palo Alto.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah,
so you were in a good spot for that.
I was, being able to get on that stuff was just mind blowing.
I bet,
I mean, I knew first computer I ever saw was 1978. My early adopter parents' friends had it. Same one who had the first VCR I ever saw. He had his own machine. He worked for the phone company, so he had made good money too.
Nice.
Back in the day. So that guy introduced me to all the technology. And then by the time, I was in San Diego in the early 80s, and San Diego's public school system had a great computer set.
Yeah, you guys got. Again, this came from the regional education. You definitely benefited from having that region be so tech heavy and so in the forefront of the industry there.
Yeah. And so as soon as I could afford it, I wanted to get online. But my peers were online before I was. I used to go over to my friend's house, and he had a Commodore VIC-20, but he had a modem, a 300 baud modem, and we would connect and find the BBSs. One of the really funny stories about that time period, one of my best friends to this day, Tom Ammon, shout out Tom.
Hi, Tom.
In high school, he called the wrong bulletin board system, and the FBI showed up at his house and confiscated his computer.
Sounds very war game-ish.
It was. He was like, I didn't know. And then they gave it back to him, and he was never, but I confirmed, I remembered the story because I just saw him in February. And he remembered it. And then even his wife was like, oh, yeah, I've heard that.
That's fantastic.
Like, have the kids heard that story? The kids were like,
what?
What?
That's amazing. Eclectic Deb $4.99. Thank you so much. These videos feel like reading about your zodiac sign. OMG, that's me. Weird. I know, and that's why I wanted to play them, even though they're AI. Like, that's why I thought they had some very interesting things to say about our generation, and so that's why I did it. I won't do AI too much.
We're not watching those videos for the visual.
The tech of it all.
Watching for and it may be AI read, but I think the actual script was written by a human.
I can detect an AI script. That wasn't an AI script.
So I don't care. That's what you do. That's what you do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'll make my own videos if I ever.
Right. Yeah, and I don't want people to think that when they get on my channel they're going to see anything AI. This is a very, very rare situation. I do not use AI in any of my videos.
No, we're more likely to watch a travelogue from 1955.
Yes, which was really fun.
We should do that every week anyway.
Yeah.
Part of the country,
Yeah.
We should choose during the live streams. We should choose one person from any member in the live stream and have them choose their area, and then we should find an old travelogue video for their area. And then
that's a good idea.
if how accurate it is.
I like
that was actually fun for me is that that video was LA and
right
and I'd seen that video too, so
yeah. Here's New York in the 70s. Let's watch a little bit of that and then we'll say
okay, I'm down. Yeah, let's do it. New York in the 70s. Oh, the party yet. Oh, no music. No, we won't use it. Okay. Okay. What's that? I can't even tell.
Turn down the music.
Yeah. I gotta put it on my bigger monitor. So I'll look over here.
Okay, I'll allow it.
I'm looking at. Okay, there we go. Oh, Times Square.
Yep.
I only been to New York.
70s.
I went to New York once in '97.
We're there 97.
Sorry, no, 95.
95.
Yeah, it was January of '95. I was there for my 24th birthday.
Oh, that'd been a good time to go.
But we were going up to New Rochelle to take down one of our locations, and I was awake for 24 straight hours.
Oh wow, that's a lot of hours.
Getting paid by hour.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was good. Yeah. I've been to New York once. It was in 2003. November of 2003. So that's the only time I've ever been. So I'll get you an LA in the 70s video as well. And next week we'll do 80s and 90s stuff.
Nice.
So the cars, amazing. That's what I like to see is the.
I've driven on that freeway.
You drove in New York. See, that's one city I did not
drive in New York. My coworkers drove, but I was in the car. But they didn't. There was 4 of us from work that went on this work visit. We were literally there to do some work in New Rochelle, which is like outside of the city. Yeah, that's where Dick Van Dyke Show took place. That's all I know.
Ah.
But we did get to go into the city for one day.
Yeah, I went to visit my friend that lived in Brooklyn, but we went into Manhattan both couple of days while I was there to do some of the touristy things and stuff like that and to see Manhattan. But we stayed in Brooklyn. But yeah, it was an interesting time. And anytime I see the towers, it just makes my stomach just tighten.
Actually, we did go to the towers. We didn't get out, but we went there and
got to see them. Oh, that's awesome. I had to, obviously it was 2003, so we went down to Ground Zero. Nothing had been built yet, but it was still, an empty. There wasn't even the memorial. Like there was nothing there yet. It had just been cleared out, and it was still referred to as Ground Zero, and it was a very big thing. I am on 9/11 this year going to do an all-day stream from the morning as it happened. I'm going to watch as it happened, and then we're going to watch a bunch of stuff later because it's the 25th anniversary, which is wild to me. Just absolutely wild that it's been 25 years. Like, it's just crazy. And the fact that today's young adults don't understand or know how, the difference. Even more so than life before the internet. I think life before 9/11 is the thing that kids will never understand. It just, yeah, I do too.
I'll just face it. I miss it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I
do too.
It was a life-changing event.
Yeah.
It changed everything.
It did, and it's specifically for Gen X. Like, it did not affect the other generations like it affected us. We were in our
boomers were like, oh, what else?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the boomers were the ones that were in charge and kind of let things happen the way they happened and made decisions and did things in the years leading up that, it was just it hit us because we were just in our 20s, maybe early 30s, or maybe into our 30s, and and it was just at that time of life we were supposed to be, it
was like being stabbed in the gut. I would say it was like a gut punch, but it was worse. It was like, gut punches were like the election of 2000. This was like just
it was a crazy time.
Kill me. The election of 2000, and the bullshit of the late 90s,
it turned that'll be a topic for next week.
I started blogging around then. I actually still have. I have all my writings of online from that time period.
We'll have to pull some of that up then for next week, and since we'll be in the third turning next week. Here, let's watch this quick video, and then I got to say goodbye. It's almost 10 o'clock here, so here's Los Angeles in the 70s.
Well, you get what you pay for when you come to these live streams.
That's right.
LA in the 70s. Let's do it. This is my era. Oh, beautiful. My problem. It looks like that. That'd be the freeway. Probably the 405.
Which one? I was gonna say.
Probably the 405. Yeah, so it would have had the black and yellow license plates, but there's probably a lot of blue and yellow ones too.
All these cars, I love the cars.
Yeah, me too. Norms, that's La Cienega. I think that's La Cienega Boulevard. Maybe Wilshire.
United California Bank there in the back. That's, what does that say? Something Grove here in the front. Bamboo Grove or something. Looks like they had the blue and yellow license plate on that guy.
That's a Metro bus.
Metro bus.
We have 3 different bus systems here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have the Santa Monica bus, the Culver City bus, and the Metro bus.
Well, ain't that something?
Oh, I couldn't tell.
In my area, we have cars or legs.
Why? We have a brand new
Veracruz B, $5. Thank you so much. Nostalgia is real. Listening to you guys takes me back. I recall walking into the local shop with $1, knowing I was about to have a stomachache. Did all kinds of junk for $1.
Wait, they're really going off on the lowriders here in this one.
Yeah, they're having this one.
Yeah, remember when you could go to? I remember you could buy 4 packs of trading cards for $1.
4 packs of trading cards for $1?
Yeah, Star Wars cards are 25 cents.
Wow. That's amazing.
Look at that 2 bugs right there. One in the red, one in the yellow.
Yep.
There's a one behind it.
Bugs were a big thing around here in the 70s.
They were
around America. Yeah.
It was the people's car.
Get that Adolf car. Yep. I still love the old school Bugs. I think they're so cool looking.
I do too.
I could never drive one because there's like no power steering and I can't drive stick shift. But
I can't. Opening Sagittarius, a new musical theater.
Rodeo. Where all the wealthy get to go shopping.
That's Rodeo in Wilshire.
This is crazy.
You can tell it's the 70s or the 80s because it has the 911 thing on it. That wasn't a thing until the 70s.
Yep.
That's Century City.
Century City. So cool.
We have our own towers that were actually designed as like models of the Twin Towers, but they're nowhere near as big.
Real okay. Yeah, because there's
we can't have bigger than like, I'm not sure what the tallest is, but we can't have more than like 50 or 60 stories high. It's too much. They're like, an earthquake will take this down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's try like what is a good, like for you, like Midwest, like St. Louis in the 70s?
Yeah, I live an hour south of St. Louis. That's where I was born and raised. St. Louis has a crazy history.
Can you show like some?
Let me see if I can find something from the 70s.
No, we Nelson out on Friday, unfortunately.
I mean, I can Nelson out anytime.
Nelson out.
I'm Nelsoning out of all my Discord, so we can definitely Nelson out tonight. I am all for that. Yesterday was the 36th anniversary of the release of Love and Affection. So
I know.
So on the Discord, I Nelsoned in and Nelsoned out. So nice. Yeah.
Well, she gave us some money earlier too, so let's do it.
Yes, absolutely. I'm never going to say no to that.
I didn't.
And don't forget the next book, or after we get done with the Strauss and Howe series, we're going to be reading What Happened to Your Hair by Matthew and Gunnar Nelson. So,
hey, we should take all the money from one live stream and then like buy a copy and give it away.
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I think I'll do that. Yes. I will be giving. Also, I will give a copy away before we start reading it. So, yes.
Yeah. To live stream members, So
yes.
Remember.
Eads Bridge in St. Louis is fascinating. The whole history of St. Louis is crazy.
I've never been to St. Louis. My journalism teacher from high school, somebody that made a pretty big impact on my life, who passed away a number of years ago. She was from St.Louis.
Yeah. So, the Lou. It was in 1865. Well, because St. Louis has been around since the early 19th century. And in 1865, there was a vote after the Civil War to move the nation's capital from Washington, D.C. to St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
It lost by 4 votes. So 4 votes made the difference between having St. Louis as the capital as opposed to Washington, D.C. Yep, the gateway to the West. You got it. But when it was built in such a way that it only got so many square miles of land, and which made it impossible for it to expand, and it ruined the city. It's like a decision made in the 1850s basically ruined the city like 100 years later. So it's a long thing. But in the 70s, it was the height of St. Louis was in the early 20th century when Budweiser was built, and because Budweiser was everything, and Anheuser-Busch, and so that made the city was a great city, and it was very affluent, and it was doing great. But then highway systems and train tracks and things changed to where St. Louis wasn't the hub that it was during the shipping days of the Missouri and the Mississippi and all that stuff. So it just changed things. But yeah, here's let's look at St. Louis downtown. Prior to the Great Flood, 1973.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen this, so I don't know what it's like. Filled for an English class at Kirkwood High School. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Kirkwood. One thing about St. Louis is that where you went to high school is like a big deal for St. Louis area residents. It's like it's such a weird cultish thing. Like it's such a tribal thing. Like where you went to high school. Let's see what we got here. So there's no sound to it. It's just nice Pretty Woman reference, the Beverly Rodeo Drive. You work on commission, don't you? Yep. Let's see. Are we going to get any this is just day-to-day life, looks like. People on the streets walking by. Oh, wow. Okay. Downtown St. Louis. There you go. I will say that most of the area of downtown St. Louis now, you don't want to walk in. Like, it's very dangerous in the area right around Busch Stadium and where the Blues play at the Union Station and where it used to be called the Kiel Center. I don't know what it's called now, but that's about the only area that you can walk around in and be okay. But you get outside of that, downtown St. Louis is very, very dangerous now. Unfortunately, this is crazy to see. That was one thing about how it was built. It was built so different that it made it very difficult to walk around and it's not a walkable city in any way, shape, or form. Like, you have to have a car to get anywhere in that place. Wow. Yeah. And it started really falling apart bad in the 1970s. So, that was a very terrible video, but what happened in St. Louis? Yeah, like, it just, I'd be better off, bringing up the Facebook page that has all the old pictures of my hometown from the 70s and 80s. That would be probably a better thing to show than videos of St. Louis.
Fair.
But yeah, they don't break into your car, they steal the whole thing. That's correct. But I'll get a little bit more. I'll find some things from my neck of the woods for next week. So to change and to share. And if you want to find something from your neck of the woods that you would like to share as well, you don't have to rely on me to just bring up random stuff. If there's something that you want to show about LA in the 80s or 90s. Thank you so much for the wonderful discussion. Remember, guys, next week we are doing the third turning, so chapter 8. And then it's not going to be much longer before we're done with this. We only got about maybe 3 weeks left. Then we're going to do a quick couple of weeks of the fourth turning is here. Then we do 13th Gen, and then we do the Nelson book. I'm super excited about it. Let's Nelson out of here. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It's 10.
Absolutely.
Once again. What did you say? 1991?
1990.
1990.
Came out June 15th of 1990. Some Nelson merch, Nelson adjacent merch on my channel.
2, 3.
All the
copyright. Get demonetized.
Yeah, but I tell you what, it is on my goal list for this channel to buy rights to at least a snippet of this so I can use it as an outro song on my live stream. It won't be cheap, but that's a long-term goal for me because I want to be able to use it and rock out to it without getting in any trouble.